What is going on, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of Just Visiting with Jonathan and Eric. And I'm Eric. That's Jonathan on the other side.
Yo.
And we are happy to come to you guys today with our new time slot. So we're going to be starting, we probably start a little bit earlier in the morning next time, but around midday is kind of when we're trying to hit it on Saturday. So thank you guys for joining us. We're happy that you're here. But, anyways, Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing good. I got very little sleep last night. I was working late, and then I couldn't fall asleep while I was in bed, so that was fun. But besides that, and then I overslept for this because I was so tired. So, but anyways, besides that, I'm good. I got some coffee, so I'm doing all right.
Hey, man. I didn't get much sleep last night either. I think I went to sleep around 2 a.m. I want to
Oh,
say,
poor you.
and then and then at 5, the
Hmm.
dog. We're currently babysitting my sister's dog. He started whining, and my brother told me that at around 4 or 5 a.m., he starts whining because he wants to go use the bathroom, and he doesn't go inside
Oh
anymore, which
man.
is great though. Like he doesn't pee in our house anymore. So
Yeah.
I woke up at 5, and
Hmm.
I was again husband of the year material here. I said, no, baby, no, baby, baby, I got it. Stay in bed. I got it. And so I took him outside. He went to use the bathroom and everything like that. And I brought him back in. And I came again, went back to sleep. It was like 5:30 when I went back to sleep. And then 7, he starts whining again. So this time she gets out of bed and goes to get him. And so I go back to sleep at 7. And then I think I woke back up at like 8:30 because he
Hmm.
started whining again. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get out of bed. I'm gonna go and get out of bed. I'll let him out, and he can just sit with me on the couch, and I'll lay on the couch. And so that's what I've been up since then because I didn't get to go to sleep when I got back on the couch because he was just all over the place. But
uh, yeah. See, I was. My wife would say if she was here, she'd be like, "Well, that's why you need a cat, because you don't have to take him outside." And which I semi agree with her. I kind of wish dogs could be trained to use a litter box, if I'm being honest, because it's way easier. I like that I don't have to take our cat outside to go to the bathroom.
you have one of those
Um,
self cleaning sort of deals.
it's self cleaning without being self cleaning. So like so what I mean by it's self cleaning, which means it doesn't require scooping. But what you have to do, it like rotates, so you like pull it out, and so like I'm holding the end of it like this, and then the door is like the actual place the hole is right there. So what you do is you tip it up like this, and it kind of does this thing where it filters all the clean litter out, and then the dirty litter goes to the top, and then when you bring it back down, it goes into the scoop. So then you pull this long scoop out, and then you
Oh
dump
my
it.
gosh.
So it's not like there's automatic ones that are actually self-cleaning where it'll go through and scoop everything up by itself, and then you just dump it. So it's not really self-cleaning, but you don't have to go in there, and I don't have to get my hands in the box and be like, gotta find all the dirty stuff. So that's beneficial.
You would think with
Um,
the way how technology has evolved, we would have figured this out by now, right?
I mean, you think so, but I don't know. It was also cheap. We got it used, so it was
Got to use.
Well, I don't know if it was like used, but it was like they had it, and I don't think they used it anymore. I don't know.
Interesting.
Anyways, but either way, I remember cleaning it when we got it, so that's all I remember. But anyways, I'm sure people want to hear about how I clean the litter box every week. But anyways, all I'm saying is, if my wife was here, she'd probably be like, "You should get a cat, because then you don't have to get up out of bed all the time."
No, I
But
don't want a cat. I don't want a
cat.
cat. I want a dog. I don't want a kid. I don't want anything right now. I'm very content with the present circumstances of our living arrangement.
I would like a dog once I have a house. That's kind of like that's kind of where I'm at.
No, I would
Once
like
I
to
have
have a
a,
dog once my kids get old enough.
so you don't want
'Cause
one
then I don't
for a
have to do
while.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have to do
That's
anything.
funny.
I just let them take care of it, and then I get all the love and affection without any other responsibility. That's my ideal idea of a dog.
Dang, dang, that's hilarious. Do you even like pets? I've never seen you like around a pet, to be
What?
honest.
What?
Like,
What? Are you kidding?
yeah. I mean, you were, I guess, when you came over to my house when I lived
No,
with
I
my
had
parents.
Nightwing for like what, a year, 2 years, maybe.
That's totally different.
That's a pet. What are you talking about? I said it. That is a pet. That counts.
I guess I mean like one that you actually are
You mean
in
a dog?
contact with. I
No, you
mean,
mean a dog. You mean a
no,
dog or a cat?
I mean like a parrot, like a bird or a dog, or one that's actually responsive to you.
Nightwing was responsive. We would talk all the time.
I think it's a one-way conversation.
No, he had girl problems. He was telling me about them, and I did too. I was like, dude, I'm in the same boat as you.
Nightwing was his beta fish that I kind of killed. So,
Unceremoniously killed.
and I still feel a
Well, he
smidge
lived a lot
guilty
longer than he was
about.
supposed to, though. Because I think his beta fish don't. They
Yeah, I
don't
don't think
last
they
that
last
long.
very long. Yeah, I don't think they last very long. I felt bad though. I felt bad. I was like, oh
Oh no, they do 2 to 5 years. Never mind.
man. Technically, what happened, I think, is that I believe I was gone. I was also gone that week that
Yeah.
you had me take care of it. So I had my sister take care of it, but she was little, and so I mean it was my responsibility though. So it falls onto me. That's why I feel guilty.
No, what
But
happened
like,
was you left it in my dorm room. It never left my dorm room.
oh, was that the same? There was one time where we actually brought it over to my house though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did that,
Maybe
but
that
the
was
other
the
time
first
was
time
yeah. The other time was when we left it in the dorm room.
because we forgot to. Oh yeah, dang. Man, you're such a
Okay,
good friend. I don't know how
I
you
know,
forgave
right?
me.
I know, right? It's almost
Okay,
like you owe me a life or something.
let's let's move on before I feel like way too guilty, and then this starts to be like making up for my past sins. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and start out the show. Thank you guys for the people who are watching. Thanks for watching on our new time. So thank you for joining us. But we're gonna go ahead and start with our Peacemaker review. If you guys don't know, Peacemaker is a show that's on HBO Max. It is a continuation of the Suicide Squad,
The
and
Suicide Squad.
the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, um, that came out last year, and it's a continuation of the show, but it follows John Cena's character, Peacemaker. So, anyways, let's get into it. Jonathan, you saw the finale. People kind of know how I feel. I've been hinting at it through the last couple episodes. What did you think of the show?
I don't know if hinting is the word I would use, but okay.
What did you think of the show, man?
I really liked. I would probably say the first. So this is where I'm kind of confused with myself even
Mhm.
because I really liked the first. I want to say 4 episodes. I
Mhm.
really liked them. Maybe five. Maybe the first 5 episodes. I really
Mhm.
liked them. But I stopped watching. I don't remember why. I think it was just because I just started watching something else. But I stopped watching and I started watching Naruto instead because I've been trying to
Hmm.
watch through the filler episodes that I didn't watch beforehand, and and now that I'm watching them back, I kind of wish I had watched it all together. But
Hmm.
anyway, totally different story. Um, so I started back watching this week so that I could finish it in time for us to talk about it. And I think I only had like 3 episodes left, maybe two and a half.
Hmm.
And I did not like the last few episodes. I didn't like the last few episodes, but it wasn't just because I don't think it was just because I had stopped and then started like later, like 2 weeks apart of watching the show. But I think it was
Hmm.
I didn't like where they took the characters. I was really one thing I always thought James Gunn was really good at was showing character development and inviting
Hmm.
you in past the funny to the soft moments.
Hmm.
Where you're face to face with the characters and you really get a chance to deeply understand who they
Hmm.
are and what they've been going through. Um, like that moment with um, man, Star Lord and Mary Poppins.
You can never remember his name.
No,
We're gonna Yondu, Star-Lord and
Yondu, there it is.
Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Too, yeah. When they're in space and he's apologizing about being his father and stuff like that, like those soft moments, I always felt like James Gunn has always been the best, one of the best at getting to those moments and like really like drawing you into the characters.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, there's jokes, yeah, there's funny stuff, yeah, there's maybe some crude jokes, but there's a true human story behind all of it. That's like he's really driving at, and I was hoping for that in this. I'm not sure. I think the one
Hmm.
thing I'm not sure is that I'm not sure how well his work translates uh from movie to TV.
Yeah.
That's probably where he lost me. It was
Hmm.
just that it didn't feel like it translated as well in a TV setting as it does in the movies. Maybe if it's like Peacemaker the movie, maybe I would have liked it better.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I didn't like a lot where a lot of the characters went. I didn't like the overall end story, like the end plot of
Hmm.
the story, where like we figured everything out
Hmm.
and now we know everything. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So, I really didn't like the show. If nobody's been able to tell, I really did not enjoy the show at all. It just was not. It was not my cup of tea. And it's not even. It doesn't even have to do with the crude nature of the show. The show is just for people watching. This is not a show to watch with your kids. It's very crude, very adult, very kind of bloody,
Very, yeah,
gory.
yeah.
Yeah, there's there's a little bit of nudity in it. So just to keep in mind. Um, I personally didn't enjoy the show mainly because I thought, and this might be a Guardians of the Galaxy 2. If you guys don't know, James Gunn is he also made Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and so it's you can kind of if you look at his work, he definitely has his own unique style and
Hmm.
brand of comedy. And I thought the comedy was just very saturated. I thought the comedy was so much to the point to where like I actually heard this in another review and I completely agreed with it. I thought jokes went on way too long. So
Yeah.
like people would make a joke and then they would be laughing about it or continuing the joke for a while to where it was just like, okay, this isn't funny anymore. Like you're kind of wearing out your welcome.
Do you think maybe that
Um,
was the point of the joke was that it was supposed to be uncomfortable? Like it was supposed to be like they made a funny joke, but they like
mhm.
intentionally carried it too long to make you unsettled with the joke at the end of it. Maybe that was
Um,
the point.
yeah, I think it was intentional, but
Okay, yeah,
I think the problem is just too much of that is very. It's only funny when it's done the way it's intended in the sense of when it's rare. So
oh,
like
yeah,
when it's just completely uncomfortable all the time, and it's uncomfortable because the joke is is elongated, it just keeps going and going. That's where it gets uncomfortable. When it happens every once in a while, it's funny, right? Because you're not expecting it. And so it's just
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, they keep going with this joke. That's hilarious. But when it's
When it's
constantly
yeah,
like,
like almost every joke, it feels like they're
mhm.
doing the same thing. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I'll say the best thing about the show is John Cena. He does a really good job with
Oh
the
yeah,
character. He's very funny. I didn't. The other thing too is like, what's weird about the show is people are really like. I feel like the last one Like I feel like I'm the only person on earth who doesn't like this show because I'll read all these comments and people love Peacemaker. They're like, "It's the best DC show ever. It's so great. It's so
Can I say this
unique."
about that? Because
Yeah.
I honestly think that DC fans have been so tired of like
Mhm.
the same rinse repeat DC shows that we've been getting
Mhm.
that Peacemaker is so different and so unique that I think people love it for that reason specifically. That it's
Yeah.
like it's just so different from the other DC properties, and it's so um much
Mhm.
better. It's
Mhm.
also much better than the other DC properties.
Mhm.
I think that's why they're falling in love with the show.
Yeah, I see my thing is that it didn't really feel unique to me. It felt like I'd seen this before. I guess is just,
Yeah.
like with
Was it like
there's
at the end? Because that's what I felt at the end. I felt like this was like a typical HBO DC kind of deal
yeah,
at
it
the
was
end.
just an overall like the show overall. Like I did feel like that more at the end though too. Um I would say the second half of the show was more interesting to me because of the actual because the actual action in the show. The first half of the show was very like story and character driven, but that's the thing for me. I really didn't connect with any of the characters like at
Hmm.
all. Like I didn't really connect with them. The moment where I actually felt connected to a character, the one moment where I did was when the computer analyst is in the finale. The computer analyst is having to pretend that he's overtaken by one of these butterflies, and they ask him about the dye in his
The dye is
beard,
beer.
and he gives this really deep reason for why he dyes his beard, and he's just like what happens is, for those people who haven't watched the show, by the way, we never gave a
Spoiler.
spoiler alert, but spoilers. um, we haven't really said anything about the plot, to be honest,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
but spoilers. At the end of the show, or throughout the show, John Cena makes fun of this computer analyst, and he calls him Diebeard constantly because he's like, "You dye your beard, don't you?" And he's like, "No, I don't. I don't dye my beard. Like, I don't dye it like at all. Like, it's just how it grows." And he's like, "Whatever, Diebeard," and he just keeps calling him Diebeard. And you find out at the end of the show, he's pretending to be overtaken by what's known as a butterfly, which are these race of aliens they're having to fight because they're trying to. There's a sect of them that are trying to take over the world. And so he is infiltrating it, and he's having to pretend he's one of them. And so he gives like a very open and honest answer because when these butterflies overtake you, you kind of become a little robotic, and they just say whatever the person is like thinking in their mind.
Yeah.
So he gives like a super honest answer, and he basically says something along the lines of like, I would dye it because I wanted people to notice it, but nobody would point it out until this one guy joined our team and he started pointing it out and made me feel special or something. And I was like, "Ah, dang, like that's I like that." But that was the only time I ever like felt connected to any of the characters. Cuz to me they didn't really feel unique. They kind of all felt a little weird. So here's the thing, guys. I don't know what it was, but I just really didn't enjoy the show at all. I was kind of most of the time I was watching it, I was like, why am I watching this show? Um, I didn't feel like any of the characters were very good. I thought the storyline with his dad fell really flat. I was expecting more. So in the storyline, you kind of find out that his dad's essentially a racist, and they kind of
Huge
build it.
racist. Not like the cultural races that we have now. We're talking about like he's like actually like a leader
Yeah.
of a KKK organization.
Yes, yeah, like he's a leader of like an extreme like sect of the KKK essentially. Like it's a super powered sect if that makes anything. And so I sometimes I get annoyed with that kind of stuff in shows, but I was like, what, Jonathan was like, listen, man, you just watch it, just watch it. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. And the thing is, they kind of set you up in the beginning of the show as if there's going to be some sort of redemption for his character, which would be kind of out of the blue, right? Like they're doing redemption for a character who's like racist, but they they end up not doing any redemption at all. Like he's just a bad person, and so that kind of falls flat. It also Peacemaker also kills him. So or yeah, he does kill him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of feels a bit like what was the point of all of this when because it happens like I think 2 or 3 episodes before the finale. So it's kind of like, what was the point of this story as a whole? Like, other than the only thing I can see what it sets up, because it does set this up at the end, is that now Peacemaker is going to have to deal with that he killed his dad because he's been dealing with killing people throughout the show. That was the other thing I liked. I liked what they were trying to do with the whole. Throughout the show, Peacemaker basically is struggling with the fact that in the Suicide Squad, he killed Rick Flag, who was another character that I didn't realize this. I guess I forgot, but Jonathan told me that it was somebody that he kind of looked up to, and he ended up killing him because that was what he was told to do. And he kind of struggles with that. Like, there's a point in the show where some kids have been taken over by the butterflies, and so he's basically going to have to kill children, and he struggles with that as well. And I can't remember if he ends up doing it or not.
No, remember Vigilante does it.
Yeah, that's right.
Like hums the tune,
yes, I remember that. And so, anyways, it was. I saw what they were trying to do. The thing was, it just got overshadowed really quickly, in my opinion, by lots of jokes and lots of humor. And I just didn't feel like the characters were very unique. I didn't feel like they were very different. I didn't have a single character that like really stood out to me, that I was like, oh wow, like this character's really going on a crazy journey. Like, this character's really like growing from the first point in which I saw them in the series. The only person I could kind of say that is John Cena's character, but I sort of feel like he's kind of the same person I knew at the beginning of the series. So overall, I thought the show was just kind of a mess. The last thing I'll say, is, and then Jonathan can give his rebuttal or viewpoints, is that for a superhero show, this is the thing that kind of irked me. It wasn't until episode 4 or 5 that we actually finally got a superhero scene where John Cena is actually using his abilities to fulfill a mission. So, like, we're seeing the majority of this show with, like, even though it's a superhero show or anti-hero show, whatever you want to call it, we're not seeing any kind of, like, him in action or him doing anything that, that is showing why he's on the team, essentially. Until we see him in this one part, and he just kind of goes crazy and is shooting all these people who are taken over by butterflies. And that was a cool scene. It was cool. They had to go take over this factory that had been taken over by butterflies, and it was a cool scene. I would have loved more of that, but we only got like one scene of that. And then it kind of started to pick up a little bit. But again, we never really got anything that was like that scene that showed this is why John Cena's character Peacemaker is with this group. And so, to me, I was like, I mean, that's one reason why you watch a superhero show. And I know I'm not trying to be cliche and say, well, I need every episode to have, like, action and no story, and that's all it's about. It's not about that. But there should be some showing of, this is what the character's about. This is what the character's here to do. This is why, this is what the team is here to do. And so you didn't really get that feel. There was a lot going on. Lots of times John Cena's not even with the team. And so I was always wondering, like, why isn't he with the team right now? He's back at his, like, trailer. So it was a very, like, it was kind of all over the place for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going to watch a season 2. So I don't know yet.
You gotta give it a season 2. You gotta give it a season 2.
Why do I have
I only said that because
why?
This is James Gunn's first outing as a TV producer, right? He's never done this before, so I'm thinking, and this is like sports to me as well. It's like you hire a head coach. I don't expect him to win the first season.
Sure.
It's like, this is the first season. Give him another 3 seasons, and then we'll see what happens. What comes of it? If we find in 3 seasons that he still has a losing record, now we can confirm we're not coming back for season 4.
Sure. Here's the thing, though. Okay, just to rebuttal that, he's being praised for the first season, so it's going to be more of the same. So I'm probably not going to like it.
Well, you said you liked the last episode, right?
No, it was okay. I didn't really like it that much. Like, it was, I said I thought you would like the last episode. I said the final episode was probably the best episode of the season. That is what I said.
Well,
But
he thought it was best episode of season 2. So
he
maybe
did.
he like learns from that episode and like that's what carries him forward. Is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, give him a second chance. That's all I'm saying.
I really
This is
don't
the
want to
land
see
of
more of his
opportunity.
dad's like really racist rhetoric in his head. I don't really feel like watching that. Like I'm just
Oh,
being
surprise,
honest.
surprise! Eric's an anti-racist.
Thank
No, I'm
you
just
for that. I
kidding.
appreciate it.
No, I agree with most of what you said. Me and you have already talked about this in some detail, but
Which surprises me because
yeah,
you were very different in the middle of the show. When you were
yeah.
in the middle of the show,
Look,
yeah, you had
man,
a
I was
different.
hyped because I loved all the characters and I loved the
Mhm.
opportunity for all the characters to grow. And
Mhm.
I think maybe that's what I love. I love more than action. I love character growth. I love watching people
I agree. Mhm.
come from a place of maybe psychopathy. Maybe they're like a maniac who literally just goes around heartlessly killing people. And if they, like there's a scene where Vigilante talks about how they would go around killing people. And if they, kill the innocent bystander, that's too bad. But they move on and then just keep killing people. And so
Mhm.
I like that there was this group of characters who were all in their own ways dealing with deficiencies or moral failings. And I was hoping we were going to get a redemptive arc in season 1. Maybe I was putting too much expectation on James Gunn because I was hoping that all these characters would get like some sort of branch over redemption thing where they would kind of realize that they're no better than each other.
Mhm.
You know, like Hardcore is no better than Peacemaker because she kills too. You know, or
Mhm.
there is this one scene that I loved where what's the girl's name? The black girl. She's pointing out how
Adebayo.
yeah, Adebayo's pointing out how messed up their moral logic is. Where she's like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, so you'll kill 2 innocent people, but you don't betray someone on your team? How does that morally make sense? And she's like, well, it's because he's on our team. It's like, what does that matter? How, you're killing people is still really really bad. Um,
I actually hated that comparison though because in that comparison she's being a hypocrite as well
oh yeah.
because
She's trying to defend herself.
yeah, because she ratted on John Cena.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I was like, your comparison holds no. So that was sorry, I keep interrupting you, but that I forgot to mention that. That was something that made me angry because I was like, that's kind of bad writing because she's like, well, you guys kill people, and it's like you just ratted out somebody on your team. Well, why does that matter? It's like because it is worse, like to the extent of like this is your team that you're supposed to protect when you're in a war, so to speak, which is their mindset.
Yeah.
I get what she's saying. Like, how is it? How is it better? How is it worse? And it's like because this is a person you trust is the difference. But anyways, continue.
Well, I disagree with you because I think my thought was when I was watching it was
Mhm.
like I get that she betrayed him, but
Mhm.
it's one thing I really don't like is moral grandstanding. I hate people who sit on their high horses and think they're better than you, and it's like
Mhm.
no, if anything, we're at the same place. Okay, we're both low in the trenches, in the dirt, in the mud. Like we're both
Mhm.
there. So don't come pointing the finger at me like, oh, I'm better than you. Look how bad you are. You're the betrayer. You're the Judas in our group. It's like you're out here killing innocent people. Like
See, but I
you're
thought
the last person.
Adebayo. I thought
You're the last person
Adebayo
to do
was.
that.
I thought Adebayo was the grandstander in that
Yeah, yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Which is why I love that she was put in a position where she actually did do something that was wrong. Because a lot of
I
times with these kind of
suppose.
characters, with these like colorful characters, is how I'll put it. They're usually like impervious to doing wrong. Everyone
Mhm.
else does wrong, but they're like, I never do anything wrong. I'm always
Mhm.
the right person. I'm always the person who's right, and I always make the wisest decisions and everything. But they actually gave her a place where she actually did do something that was really really messed up, and she had to apologize for it a bunch of times, and even like fly through a mystic cow in order to get forgiveness. Really, but
Mhm.
no, I overall I thought the show didn't really go through each character and give them a chance to redeem themselves. Even Hardcore, I thought maybe she would at least get something because
Mhm.
when Adebayo pointed out, she kind of was like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't just kill innocent bystanders." And then she has the moment where like they're at the office with the doctors, and she's like, "Yeah, don't kill them," but she doesn't really make the decision herself. She kind of just looks at Adebayo and she's like, "Oh, well, I guess I
Mhm.
shouldn't kill them." But it doesn't seem like she really agrees with not killing innocent people. Anyway,
Mhm.
I'm tangenting. My whole point was none of the characters seem to have any real growth in the story except John Cena, and that's only at the very end when he beats up his dad because he realizes that
Yeah.
he was blaming himself for killing his brother, but he actually didn't kill his brother. It was his dad who killed his brother because his dad forced him to fight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I just had higher expectations because of the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. And maybe that's my fault for having such high expectations for the show, which is why I was so high on it when we were talking beforehand. Because I was just like, dude, when we get to the end, the end's gonna be crazy. Like this is gonna be different than what we regularly see in superhero shows. Now, if James Gunn came out and said HBO did something with this show, I would not be surprised.
No, I don't think they did. I
don't think they did. But I'm saying I'm holding out hope that was the reason that it got messed up because it just seems so weird that he chose this direction to go with the characters. Like it just it doesn't seem very James Gunny. It seems like
in what way though? Like give me an example. Like are you talking about his dad or are you talking about
like we talked about the races. That's the prime example to me of like this is James Gunn doing something that's outside the box, right? Like give a redemption arc to a character that no one should like at all. Like no one, like the show tells you should not like this character. This character is bad. He's evil. He's a racist. He's a homophobe. But he's a white nationalist. Like this show gives you all the political reasons to hate this guy. And I'm like, this would be so James Gunn to give this guy a redemptive. The guy who gave, Thanos' daughter a redemptive arc. This would be the guy who would give a racist, show him just to be a human, He's not like this megalomaniac, sort of big bad evil guy that we would assume in a superhero show. He's literally just a human being with feelings, and he actually does care about his son. I thought that was going to be somewhere in the story, but it turns out no, he is just evil guy, and evil guy needs to get killed. Yeah, and so that was like super disappointing.
Very predictable too.
Yeah,
it was just kind of like I was actually let down by that a lot because I even thought there might be more of a because like the fight is also very lackluster.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was just very like wow, I've seen this a million times. Like that's kind of how it felt watching it, and I do. And listen, guys, I do dislike the show a lot more than Jonathan. I think Jonathan found some glimmers in it that he liked versus me. I didn't like it, but I think we agree in some aspects. Like, and kind of what Jonathan's saying too. For you guys who haven't seen the show, who just kind of want to know about it, at the beginning of the show, they kind of Peacemaker keeps defending his father in a way that's like not defending his behavior at all. But he's kind of like, hey, that's my dad. I still love him. Like, I still have this sort of, because he's my father and he raised me. And Peacemaker's obviously nothing like his dad in the behavior part. And so, but the thing is, you keep hearing from other characters like, this guy's a piece of crap. Like your dad, like they always trashing his dad. Like they constantly trash his dad.
They literally sent him to prison. They literally sent him to prison in the show. Wrongfully. They wrongfully framed him and sent him to prison. Yeah,
and so, which we could get into a whole thing about some other. Never mind, we could get into a rabbit. You saw where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it was one of those things where it was like, boy, they really like hate this dude. And so what would be crazy out of left field is if they. Because you almost see a redemptive arc coming, and you're like, man, that would be crazy if he did that, because that's what Jonathan's talking about. Like, and I was kind of like, that's actually what made me continue to watch the show, is because I was like, I wonder what's going to happen to the relationship with him and his dad. Like, I feel like that's going to change for some reason. And to be honest, it really didn't change. It just went the way that you would expect that relationship to go, where there was more hatred for each other, and then it ended up John Cena just killed him.
Yeah.
And so you were kind of like, oh, okay. Like, and it was just very, and like, this suit was really weird too. Like, I don't know. Like that was weird. Like I found the suit thing weird, and, the women and men who like joined him. It was funny that he wasn't a sexist. Did you notice that? I was surprised they didn't add that to his arsenal. Like,
yeah, why not, right?
Of misogyny. Like, I was like, why are women following him, too?
not just following him. Like, they're kind of, like, doing the lead things, right? They're reading the iPad, telling them where to go.
Yeah.
Not really, not very misogynistic of you.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I thought that was really weird. I was like, why is? I was like, okay. Like I remember I saw a woman where she's like, there's a part where she's getting dressed, and I was like, that's a woman, and I was like, because her hair was buzzed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. I was like, I guess he has women fighting with him. I was like, that doesn't fit the stereotype. Like, I was like, that's really weird. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. The ending of that was really weird. And I do want to say one thing. Like, they show the scene where John Cena, like, I told Jonathan this already, but I don't think everybody on the podcast heard. They show a scene where, um, when John Cena's a kid, Peacemaker's a kid, and the scene where he kills his brother, which is very sad. Like I actually didn't enjoy watching that scene at all. Um, but the people that are like around him, like they're obviously supposed to be. I don't know. Did they ever say where he's from?
Who, Peacemaker?
Yeah. Did they ever say like where his dad is from or anything?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I felt like they were trying to portray people. They always portray people from the South or the Midwest, white people, as like these people who are just like
Bumpkins.
bumpkins. We're just out here.
We're
We're gonna go
pit,
fight.
we're
Watch.
fighting each other.
Yeah, they're like beat them, boy, beat them, and they're like yeah, and I'm like, who does that? I'm like, that's not how people out here. Like I live in Oklahoma. I've never seen anybody who would put their son through. So it's very unrelatable. Now, which I guess is a good thing because they're the villains. But I was just kind of like, this is very like, I don't know, because I think the other thing too is I think there's supposed to be some sort of realism there,
Mhm.
right? And I was just kind of like, this is not believable at all. Like I don't know anybody who would do this like with their children. Like I've never seen anybody who would encourage fighting someone until they until they're bleeding and they're like, I don't know, it's just very unbelievable. But anyways,
Yeah, I do think I think that maybe we forget sometimes that James Gunn isn't politically neutral. Um,
no, yeah,
and I think maybe that was the flaw in our assumption that it was going to go a different way. Was maybe because we thought he was a little bit more
hmm
politically neutral than he actually was. So maybe what it was a demonstration
hmm
of what he thinks the far right is like.
maybe
Maybe that's
that
what it
might be,
was.
yeah, yeah. It's funny how people in the far right or just people like whenever I see shows about racists or something, it's always like people where I'm from. And I'm like, I don't know anybody like that. Like, I've never met a white person who is
And
like
you
that.
do live in the
Anyways,
sticks too. It's not like you don't live in the sticks. You live in Oilton.
yeah,
Like,
I lived in the sticks. It was, and I didn't know anybody who acted like that. Like straight up, I didn't know anybody. And we had black people in our town. Okay, like nobody was like that. They were like the revered. I'm not even
the
kidding. Like
revered.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah, like it was, it was just so weird. Anyways, um,
Can I say I love the Asian cop lady? I thought she and her partner were pretty hilarious whenever they were on screen. I don't know
I
what it was
was.
about them, but I love their little whenever they would like talk to like people and stuff like that, or especially whenever she would have a conversation with his dad. Those were
hmm
literally probably some of my funniest moments on the show.
I did like how she combated his racism. I thought that was really
Yeah,
funny. Um,
I like the commentary afterwards when he would be like sometimes he'd be like, "Why would you say that? Like that wasn't good at all."
yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I know."
I started to like them, and I was so upset when they made them
Yeah, so they
turn
turned
into
into
butter.
butterfly. Oh man, I thought it was
I
just
was,
me, but I was like, I don't know why I care so much, but I really like them,
yeah,
and I can't believe you wasted them by
yeah.
turning them into butterflies.
It was
Now they're
it.
dead.
It wasn't even a good transition. Like at the end of the season,
Yeah.
it was like halfway through the season. They were like, they're gonna be evil, and I was like, why? I was like, that was so. Well, and the other thing too is I was like, if you're trying to, I was like, if you're trying to be like, oh no, this is someone they know that they don't want to hurt that is now taken over by a butterfly. I was like, that
You
doesn't
picked
really
the wrong
make any
person.
sense. They've had
Yeah,
very few interactions with her. Like,
yeah.
anyways,
If anything, she's been more antagonistic towards them. If anything, so it's
yeah.
like, why would they even want to? I don't know. The ending felt really rushed, and
hmm
I don't know. I didn't. I was a little sad when Mern died. I will say that I was a little sad when Mern died. I didn't think I would be, but I was a little teared up. But
Yeah.
the over the can I just say that and we and you talked about this, but the last scene where she's trying to convince him to join their side, the side of the
hmm
butterflies, was so epically dumb. And I was just
Yeah.
like, if he agrees to join them, I'm gonna be so upset because like the
Yeah, me
whole
too.
point was about freedom. Like she's like basically like we're gonna take away their ability to control their own lives and forge their own destinies because we've seen similar things happen and we think that this is gonna be bad.
Hmm.
And so we're gonna force them to change. It's like, no, we should have the freedom to do whatever we want to, even if it means
Hmm.
walking off a cliff. You know, that's
Hmm.
the price of freedom is that people are going to make bad decisions. The price of
Yeah.
freedom, like people often, especially foreign nations, they comment on how high our gun deaths are. It's like, well, that's just
Hmm.
the price of freedom. We're so free that we even get to freely choose to, die by gunshots or kill someone with a gun, even though obviously that's illegal. But um, that is the
I
price of
get what you're
freedom.
saying.
The
Yeah.
price of freedom is that people can make really
Freedom, the
bad
freedom
decisions.
to protect yourself and
Yeah,
things like that. Yeah.
but even the freedom to make a bad decision, the freedom to go and maybe I
Hmm.
might think skydiving is a really bad decision, but someone else is like, well, I'm free, so I can choose to do that if I want to, and then maybe they die
Hmm.
from skydiving. It's like, well, that was freedom. They had the free choice to do that,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
kind of, it kind of honestly, it kind of boils down to this pandemic stuff that we're talking about as well, right?
Hmm.
It's like we should have
Hmm.
the freedom to choose. If I don't want to get the vaccine and contract COVID, that should be my free choice to choose that. No government, no agency should force me to take something I don't
Hmm.
want to take because I have the freedom to choose how I live my life.
Hmm.
So maybe
Yeah.
that was a meta story.
Even
How do
even if
who knows?
even if that's to your demise, yeah.
Even that's
I see
even
just.
even if that's even if from your perspective that's to my demise.
Hmm.
I still
Yeah.
have the freedom to choose it. Like look at our,
Yeah.
our obesity rates. It's because people have free will. They get to freely choose what to eat.
Hey, man. Hey, why'd you have to bring that up?
We don't need
I
Michelle
don't.
Obama
I don't.
telling us what to
I don't.
eat. Okay,
I don't.
that's what I
I
was.
don't.
That's where I was going. I wasn't
Oh,
talking
okay.
about you at all. But
Dang. Well, I
hey,
got
man,
offended.
you told on yourself.
I'm big and beautiful. No, I feel you though. Yeah, the thing too is like this is always my. I was talking to Jonathan about this. If you guys watched the special stream we did in the middle of the week, I hinted on this a little bit. I think I did anyways. Uh, the thing too is like, so the ending of that was very like political too, because the butterfly starts talking to him about kind of relevant political stuff right now that's in our, like climate change and science denials and those types of language.
Minor in
And
breaches in freedom.
yeah, and so when for me, I don't mind completely if you're bringing politics into a show. A lot of times political storylines can be more interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, just look at like Civil War or some of these other shows and movies. Even even the director's cut of Batman versus Superman, where it made more sense. But when you bring in like political dialogue, that can be really interesting when it's not so on the nose. When
Yeah.
it's on the nose, what happens is it was very on the nose too. If you watch it, it's just like, oh, that just kind of took you out of the film all of a sudden. It took
Yeah.
you out of the show in that moment because it was so relevant to what's going on right now. It starts to feel like what's it called? Uh, I forget the term. It starts to feel like propaganda. It like immediately that's like just what happens because you're like, oh, they're like telling a specific message,
They're
and it's
preaching at me.
like, yeah, and it's like, but yeah, and it gets preachy. So when it gets preachy like that, it's really hard for me to take it because I'm like, you could have used a different choice of words. You could have talked about it a little bit differently. You could have been like, the people of your country are leading their, are you could have just said the people of your country are going to meet their demise for
Yeah. Making bad choices.
for
It could have
making
been
bad
simply it.
choices,
Yeah.
or we've seen how your people vote, or we see how your people act, and like this is where it leads. Like I would have even taken that, but because it was so like on the nose of like these specific issues, it was like man, it just like took you out of it all of a sudden. And so I also didn't like the finale. I also thought, do you remember what Peacemaker's reasoning was for denying her? It was also really like bad too. It was something
Yeah.
like, I just didn't trust her, or I knew she'd double cross me, is what he said.
Yeah. Well, no,
So
he said I knew that you guys would die. It would have to die too. So it was
yeah,
basically like trying to save his friend. It wasn't really about freedom. His choice.
it
He
wasn't.
didn't
Yeah.
make a philosophical choice. He just chose to save his friends.
Yeah, exactly. And so it made it feel even less like a growth
Yeah,
time, right? It made it
yeah.
feel like even less of a this character's growing kind of thing. And so that was really frustrating as well. But the last thing we should talk about the finale before we move on is at the very end, spoilers for people who haven't watched, the very very end, there is a cameo appearance by the Justice League, which was kind of crazy. Jonathan, I've already heard your thoughts because you talked to me about it earlier. But what did you think of that? They had the actual DC Justice League that showed up. What did you
Well,
think of
whoa,
that?
whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on
Okay,
now. All
sorry,
we
sorry.
saw, only people we saw for sure was Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller. You
And then
would,
we saw stand-ins.
yeah, you would think if Henry Cavill was there, they didn't pay him to just stand there, right? They probably would
Yeah,
have made him
yeah.
say something. But
Yes, I agree. I agree.
yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, I thought it was dumb that they showed up at the very end of the show or the
That was
very end of
supposed
the
to be the
fight.
joke, right?
Yeah,
That
I
was
get
supposed to
it.
be the joke.
I got the joke, but I didn't think it
Mhm.
was funny. Like that wasn't funny to me. That just wasn't
Mhm.
funny to me. Like Superman literally he flies at the speed of sound in some instances. So like why wouldn't he
Mhm.
be there sooner? Like Wonder Woman has an invisible plane. Why wouldn't she be
Yeah.
there sooner?
It's because of the show,
Flash
man.
literally runs at the speed of light. He would be there. Literally, you would say Flash be here. He would be there. Like before you finish saying the words.
Well, he was. It's just when they found out was the problem. I mean, if you look at how the show jokes about heroes, I mean, we had the Batman joke, Aquaman jokes, Oliver Queen, Green Arrow jokes. Um,
That's
which was
interesting though.
did
That's
you
interesting,
see?
right?
What'd you say?
Oliver Queen is in this universe.
Yeah,
We didn't know
right.
that
Green
beforehand.
Arrow. Did you see? I don't know if you saw this, but somebody tweeted at Stephen Amell to comment on that about the brony thing, and he said something like, I haven't watched Peacemaker, but he said something like, he called out John Cena. He was like, I'm gonna stick to being a better wrestler in the WWE than he is. I was like, oh
Oh yeah,
snap.
he was in WWE. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was. He's had like 2 or 3 appearances recent,
Yeah.
like since, and I was like kind of crazy. But he said something about that, like I'm gonna stick to. He's like, I'm too busy working on being a better wrestler than John Cena, so or something like that. And it was like, oh snap. So I mean, they've really just trashed on the superheroes in this show,
Yeah.
which it just depends if you like that or not. I'm kind of like half and half. Like I think it's funny, but I've also heard so many Aquaman jokes at this point that I'm kind of over it. And Green Arrow jokes and Batman jokes. Like those are the 3 superheroes that always get made fun of. So I'm kind of like over it. If they would have chose something like The Flash or Wonder Woman or Superman or
Cyborg.
Cyborg,
Yeah.
like that would have been funnier. But those 3 always get made fun of. So like when those jokes came up, I was kind of like, they're not that
Did you
funny.
notice Cyborg wasn't there? Did you notice that upon first viewing? Were you like, oh, where's Cyborg at? Or were you just like, oh,
Um,
this is really cool?
he's not a main person to me, so I didn't think about it.
Okay, yeah, me neither. Me neither.
But my
Apparently,
take,
apparently, people were very upset that Cyborg was not in the shot.
who's
They were
people?
like
Who's
like
people?
apparently it was Zack Snyder fans. They were very
Really?
upset they were very upset that Cyborg
Pretty.
was not in the shot.
I'm pretty sure the
And
Cyborg movie got canceled. So I mean,
they were calling James Gunn a racist
oh
for
my
not for not having
gosh.
Cyborg in the final shot.
Oh,
But
I'm
like
sure he
obviously
is.
he's having issues with Warner Brothers right now. He's in like
Who's
I don't think-
Cyborg?
yeah, the actor.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't think it's legal disputes, but I think it's something.
he's been having frustrating. He's been having issues with them ever since Justice League came out. He had some problems with Joss Whedon. He said Joss Whedon treated him really bad. And then also that Jeff Johns treated him really bad too. So
Yeah,
that Jeff
yeah,
Johns,
I heard that too.
yeah, like that he said racist
both of them are
remarks and
racist,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, he said they were both racist. Which, I mean, he hasn't. I don't believe he's shown any proof. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't believe him. I'm just not saying that I've made up my mind about it really.
Come on,
So-
man. Me too.
So, anyways,
Believe all black people. That's the new slogan.
Zack Snyder's kind of stayed out of it. Like Zack Snyder, I think said that he he supports them and in the sense of that he hopes gets justice for whatever he is seeking. Um,
You
but
gotta think it was. You gotta think it was because he realized. I mean, when you look at Zack Snyder's movie and then you look at Joss
mhm.
Whedon's movie, he got cut out a significant part of that
Oh
movie.
yeah, he
Like
did. Like all of his scenes.
basically all of his scenes were completely
Yeah,
cut from the movie except for the beginning part, right?
yeah.
But when you
hmm
watch Zack Snyder's version, it's literally a cyborg movie. It's about cyborg. The whole movie's basically about cyborg.
Yeah, the story revolves around him pretty heavily.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I would still say it's a Justice League movie, but the heart of it is supposed to be from
cyborgs.
Cyborg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um.
I can understand why he would be really upset,
mhm.
especially after you watch the two different versions and you've been like
Yeah.
filming all day and they've been shooting all these shots, and
hmm
then you watch the movie and you go, where are my scenes at? Like
Yeah.
I was filming for like days on end and
Yeah.
I'm barely in this movie.
And he did a great job in the
Oh
Zack
yeah,
Snyder version. Like he did
yeah.
a really great job. I enjoyed his take on Cyborg. He also one thing I never liked though is he said that apparently he was really upset that they wanted him to say "booyah" in the Joss Whedon. Like he was like apparently like insulted. Like he would not say that line. Like he was
No,
very
the company doesn't want you to say it. The fans want you to say it. Because
yeah
I was
no.
excited when he said it. I was like, yeah, booyah, let's go. So, yeah.
It's like that was the one good scene in the original Justice League is that he said "booyah." Like that's Cyborg's that's his thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's like saying I was so mad that they made me become part machine. It's like that's literally who Cyborg is. I know
yeah,
what you were
exactly.
expecting when you signed up for the role.
Yeah, but no, I mean he did a good job in the movie. And I'm pretty sure all the actors seem to have high respect for Zack Snyder. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing he must have treated them really, really well. And then Joss Whedon just kind of like came through and was like,
Well,
"Listen, we got we got to get this done in a certain amount of time." And he was probably rude about it.
yeah.
I've
Well, I
heard
mean,
he's
also you
not.
gotta think he's pretty arrogant too, right? Because like he's had all the Marvel success and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
he's also. I've heard that he's not very nice to women as well.
I've heard
I've
that
heard.
too. I've heard
Yeah,
that
so
too.
I don't know, man. But anyways, final thoughts on Peacemaker. I thought the cameo, it didn't surprise. Well, it surprised me. That's the only reason I thought it was cool. I didn't really think it was. I was like, oh, I can't believe DC did this. Like that was
Yeah,
my thought. I was like, DC like showed them connected to the story. I was like, that's kind of cool.
but
I've never
it
seen
didn't
that
feel
before.
significantly unnecessary. Like really unnecessary.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was kind of like what was the it kind of reminded me of Kingpin and Hawkeye, but almost worse because
Yeah, yeah.
At least Kingpin had more time
Yeah, at least he fought.
in
At least he
this.
fought, right? At least you got to see him
Yeah,
fight and stuff like that.
yeah, like in this it was just literally like two lines. Apparently they were trying to get Ben Affleck and a few other people in it too. I think that he was wanting to get the full cast for the movie, but they weren't able to do it.
No,
Um,
thank you.
but anyways, you don't like Ben Affleck? I love Ben Affleck, man.
No, I love Ben Affleck. I just don't need them in the show to say like 5 lines and then walk away having not saved the day. Like
Uh,
I don't need them to do
literally
that.
there for a joke. Like that
Yeah,
was literally what
yeah.
they were there for.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. But whatever.
Anyways, my final thoughts on Peacemaker. If you like crude humor, sure, give it
So,
a watch. I
I mean, if you like the Suicide Squad, you're probably like this, right? I mean, like maybe it won't be like
I like this. I like this.
your favorite show, but you'll
Mhm.
like the show. You're like the show in general, like just in general, because it's the same style basically.
I'm probably a little too family friendly, so I'm gonna give like a family friendly review. Like if you can look past all the crudeness of it, you might enjoy the show. I thought personally, I thought there was a lot of unnecessary crudeness to it.
Yeah,
That's just me.
yeah,
It was like the other thing that really annoyed me, and I've watched The Boys, and I actually enjoyed that storyline a lot. So like, I understand like how it can be used to be more fun, but it was like the cursing is like every other word. It's like really, it's actually kind of distracting for
yeah.
me. It was.
And
Did you find
everyone
it?
does it. And everyone does it. It's not like one
Yeah,
person who's like very vulgar. It's like everybody's super vulgar.
yeah. Like if it was more of a characteristic trait, that's why I was saying like I don't know that many people who are like that. I know a couple people who curse like that, but like I don't know anybody who's like f every other word. Like it was a little bit distracting. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like, can you stop? So, it just, anyways, and everyone's screaming at each other all the time. Everyone's always screaming at each other. Anyways,
So
all
do
right.
you prefer PG-13? James Gunn?
Um, I haven't seen his other stuff. I mean, compared to this, yeah, but like, but like, I don't mind the blood and everything. Like,
Well, so
I
like
don't.
the Suicide Squad, basically, you like that, but you just didn't like the show.
Yeah, I like the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad wasn't F every other word. Like, I thought that was fine. I like the I thought the Suicide. The thing that I didn't like about the Suicide Squad was kind of the story.
Yeah.
I thought the characters were great in that movie. I liked, which is kind of how I felt about the first one, right? Like the first one, I thought the characters were really good. We just didn't get enough of them. And in this one, I thought the characters in the second one, I thought the characters were great. I just like kind of wanted a little bit of a better story, but I thought it was still good. So, anyways, yeah. Any last thoughts before we transition out?
No, I did like the. I will say I'm not. I want people to know I did like the show. I like the show overall. I think it's watchable. I don't think I would ever be like, oh man, I really want to go back and watch season 1 of Peacemaker. I probably might watch the Suicide Squad again. That was actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd ever watch this season again.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel the
it
same
wasn't
way.
that great.
I don't think I'd watch it again either. It might be a waste of time. So to be honest, like when there's so many other shows right now, you kind of have to choose what you want to, invest in. So, anyways, but besides that, everybody, that has been just TV show reviews. Right, so we're gonna move out of that for right now, and next, I think, Jonathan, do you have that video ready? Did you want to go ahead and watch some highlights,
Yes, I do. Did you?
or do you want to move on to something else?
I was going to ask about the Marvel stuff. Did you want to go and talk about your Disney Plus thing, or did you want to do that after the contest?
We'll save that later on because that might be like a discussion type thing, and I think it'd be a lot more fun to do like a reaction. So, if you're down. So guys, what we're going to do next is we're actually going to watch some of the highlights from the dunk contest. I didn't get to watch any of the dunk contests this year. So, and I think, Jonathan, did you watch any of it?
No, I did not. I didn't watch any of the All-Star whatsoever.
Which is crazy because I thought you were going to watch some of it, but
yeah, man,
it just didn't work out.
It didn't feel as compelling as I would have liked it to feel, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, don't forget sound down there.
I got it.
He's dumped it.
You can't hear it?
He did a windmill.
Yeah, I can.
Hold that ball up. There it is.
Basic.
It was an
average.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Who is that?
That's like an 8.
No, Cole Anthony.
No, I've seen it before.
Cole Anthony. Okay.
Yeah.
Left back city in the park. Dudes were dunking in their Timbs. Like
I didn't think that was that. I saw this one actually already, and I thought the whole Tim's thing was like the aesthetic was cool, but it's not that cool.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. Well, he got apparently it's the shoes. He has boots on.
Yeah.
It still wasn't anything crazy.
I think one of the commentators says later, like, if you just go to the hood, you'll see a bunch of people.
Oh, okay.
That was a short jump. He didn't get he jumped super late. Like, look at that. Woo! So he got some air on that. That's a little more impressive.
Well, he put his hand on him, man. I don't like that.
Yeah, I would. They said that's a 9. Okay.
No, that's not a 9.
This is the problem.
Like he had to put his hand on him to propel himself. So that's not a 9 to me.
This is the problem with dunk contests, man. Is people always.
Whoa! Okay.
I'll give you that one. No hand. No hand that time. Do they still get 3 tries?
I don't remember.
I didn't see it all.
Oh, okay.
Behind the back. See, he doesn't put his hand on him, so he literally jumps over him. But I think he hit him.
That's like what were you saying? 8?
Yeah, 8.5. I think he hit him though. That's what I would take points off for hitting him.
Yeah.
You know what? I got to go with a 9 because we've never seen it.
See, this is the thing, man. Like,
Behind the back.
people
Wow.
people always. Oh,
There you go.
Oh!
Just a regular line.
That was lame.
Some green, got one in the book. That'll get him some
he just had a lot of power when he threw
Yeah.
it down. So
Honestly, I love people who finish strong. I think
Yeah.
that's probably what I would rate Dunk higher for is if you finish it strong.
That would have been
Yeah.
45.
A lot of people just kind of just put it in there, and that's like,
yeah.
See, he should have read
come on, man.
the landscape of
Yeah,
the room.
I
All I
agree.
need is a 45.
But that's the thing about the dunk contest, man, is they always rank too high at the
Jalen
beginning.
Green.
Oh,
Okay.
That was difficult.
He's tired.
That
He's
one was good.
He's gassed.
Because he had to start.
Totally
The
gassed.
360 between the
What's
legs.
that like?
Yeah.
You have to be in the air for a while
If
for
he's
that.
gassed, they drafted
Oh.
the wrong guy. He's not gassed.
Of course,
he switched
here's the
hands,
thing
right?
though.
No, he
More
didn't.
like, more like
Yeah,
disappointed.
he went left to right.
That was
Yeah.
disappointing. That was disappointing.
Really?
What?
Disappointing. That wasn't. Yeah.
So maybe he tried a bunch of times, and we just didn't see the try.
Maybe.
So 83
Maybe.
total for
But
Jalen
that looks
Green.
nice. That's
Red,
sweet.
just
Yeah,
look
I
like
mean,
you might end up with a donut.
here's the
Red.
thing though,
I
man.
got
It's
a
not very
donut tonight.
unique.
Yeah.
A lot of
He
these
just
people
started
aren't
with
doing
that.
like unique
Always start with
things,
the
and
ball
that's
in the hand.
There you go.
that's more so
Start
what
with the
stands
ball in
out
the hand.
to me.
Feel the room.
Yeah.
Come out. Got it. He got it.
Because
That's it right there.
it's also less impressive
That's a good one.
with social media.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
I didn't really get to see that one.
And 3
Yeah, I
attempts,
didn't either.
no
Hopefully they give
dunks.
me 3 play.
It's gonna wipe them out. Yo, you brother? Hey.
Oh, okay.
Anderson. Love.
Uh,
We haven't really seen a breathtaking dunk yet, right?
no.
I mean, the behind the back one was pretty cool.
Yeah. Windmill
Yeah,
off the
most
glass.
of these are like
Off the glass
sevens.
Right here. Windmill off the glass. Oh my goodness.
That
He
was-
doesn't like that.
He didn't
Because
flush it.
he didn't
Because
flush
he
it
didn't
like
flush
that.
it.
He likes it.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, behind. Oh, okay. I didn't see it. I didn't know that he went between the legs. He just didn't get it high enough. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like. He kind of had to like stuff it in instead of like
Yeah.
dunk it.
Step out with something, man.
They're definitely moving their. What?
Yeah, he tried to put his arm in the rim, and he wasn't able
Oh.
to really get it inside. And
I don't like the arm in the
He
rim.
wasn't high enough.
I don't find that very impressive.
No.
No, it was more impressive when Vince Carter did it, and then
Yeah. Okay. I will say there's a lot of dunks that are like
Two
once
dunks.
you do it once and
I
that's
know
impressive,
10
but
dudes in the
every
park
time
that
other
can
than that, it's
shoot
like.
open shots.
yeah.
I know 10 guys in the park that can do this. No, they Come on, man.
With Tim's on. With Tim's on.
With Tim's on.
You don't know
Oh,
10
he got
guys.
he got his
Those
arm
are
caught on the
across
rim.
the board. I still don't want to see people shoot open shots first.
See, like
Yeah.
eights, like be honest, like give them fives, give them fours. Like it's a 10-point scale for a reason. You know what I mean?
Good. Let's just get a nice.
Oh, okay, that one was better.
That one
Was
was
it the same
better.
dunk though?
Yeah, he threw it down. He threw it down pretty hard too. Was he doing the other dude's dunk, or is that the same guy?
That's the same guy. It's the same guy who
Okay.
did his dunk. So he just, I think maybe he just redid it to do it better.
I was damn near close to winning.
You would have won this year. You would have won this year.
I'd have been doing those.
What I was saying earlier was like the reason the dunk contest seems a little unimpressive too is because you can see this stuff on a daily basis on like TikTok.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like you can see people do this all the time, and so it makes it a lot harder, I think, in real life.
I'll say Marquette.
Are we going full court? What are we doing?
Marquette.
Oh! What do you think?
Final attempt, so
I think Obi Toppin can do a layup.
Just
Just
come up with
do a
something.
layup.
What you think? What you think?
you got to give us something to walk out of this door with.
It looked cool.
Oh.
Bring
but
it all
I like
together.
that.
New
I like
York, the
that.
Godfather of Harlem.
Sixes.
I'll bring every Cleveland Cavalier out and jump over.
Lose here.
So all I had to do is really just dunk it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
So he did get
Okay.
it off the backboard then, right?
everybody's
Wow.
doing between the
He really wanted
legs.
to get that dunk off.
Now take
Wait, he's asking for a
soft
replay.
dunk.
What did he do?
Backboard.
Yeah, come on,
man,
Kenny.
that's tough.
Kenny, that's
He didn't dunk it though. Oh, yes he did.
Haven't
Okay,
seen that
okay.
one before.
He don't
Okay,
like it.
okay.
Why not?
I mean, 5-6s would win it for him. So
I'm
if they're
liking
going to
it.
win, there might not
I don't
be
really
a-
see the
5-6
point in
of
doing
memories
that.
here, but
I mean,
Right?
it might be
His
it might be harder than it actually looks.
Creativity.
And I just
Yeah.
don't, you
It
know.
doesn't look right.
I ain't gotta be even
What?
You want to be floored.
I want to be fluid.
At least
Why
keep
so
away from
high?
the ball and any catching decisions this time.
So weird, man.
It's these old guys, man. These
Is
old
that
guys
the
haven't
end?
seen- Yeah, that was it. That was it.
That was it?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh my
That was it.
gosh!
That was,
Wow.
that was a bad dunk contest. That was a really bad dunk
Yeah, it was. That was
contest.
what the heck? That's crazy. That's not interesting at all. That was
Does
really
it feel
boring.
like you gotta ask? I really wonder. Like, does he feel like he won? You know?
Does he feel like he won? I
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
just like you know you didn't do that good of a job, and you know your competitors really didn't do that good of a job. So it's like, did I
Yeah,
really
man.
win, or was it just like this is more like a consolation prize? Like, well, you weren't the worst, you know.
I'll just go back and watch replays of Michael Jordan and who's the other dude he was against in the dunk contest?
Dominique Wilkins.
I think that was it. Yeah, those were more interesting.
Well, we really haven't had any like really good dunkers in a while, honestly. When you think about it, right?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, the last one that I remember that I watched, you told me about the other one that was really good. I think in 2016. But the last one that stuck out in memory was Blake Griffin, only because that's what he was known for at the time in
Yeah.
the NBA was dunking. So like it was more impressive because he thought about it a lot and he was very creative.
Yeah.
But then after that,
Dwight Howard had some pretty good dunk contests too.
yeah, he was the first dude to do like Superman where he did the cape,
Yeah.
right? And he came out and like dunked it. Did Shaq ever do the dunk contest? I don't think he did he?
I don't think he did.
He just like
Kobe
watched
did.
it.
I think Kobe did. I don't think he won though.
I mean, I could see that would be tough for him to win. He's not that tall.
But I
Yeah.
mean, when he was young though, he did have hops. Oh no, he did win. He won
did?
in 1997 as a rookie.
Oh.
I haven't seen that dunk contest, so I'm not sure who
Wanna
he was
be
against.
like Mike.
You know who's never won a dunk contest?
What's that? Who's that?
LeBron.
He'll never be as good as Michael. I don't care. Can you imagine? Man, I would do that just to annoy LeBron fans. I'd be like, you know what? He's never won the dunk contest.
Even
He'll
Kobe won
never-
the dunk contest.
Even Kobe.
That's why
He's the greatest of all time.
That's why I have Kobe. I have Mike. I have Mike. I have Kobe, and then I have LeBron.
That's so funny.
Oh, man.
Victor Oladipo. He's up
Victor
there.
Oladipo has some. Yeah, he has some good dunk contests too. He has some good.
Yeah,
ones.
didn't he win one year? I thought he did.
Maybe. Let's check the annals.
I don't think he did, but he could have.
No, I don't think he ever won. I do remember he did that Black Panther dunk. I remember that one.
He was in it for a couple years, I think. So, but that was about it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. How can we fix this? How can we fix this?
I think they're legit. I think they just have to do themed rounds to get the creative juices flowing. You can't just
So you
be
think
like
the guys are just not creative enough?
yeah, and also the scores are so low. You know what I mean? Or so high for like really crappy dunks. Like that's what I have never liked because they're like we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. They're professionals. It's like they should be able to handle it at their level. You know what I mean? Like give them a 4, give them a 5. Like ooh, that sucked. Like that wasn't very good. Like
It's
that
if
was
you couldn't complete the dunk, right? It's like give him a 0.
Yeah.
If you couldn't complete it, I don't care how hard it looked. Like that's a really bad argument to make if you're like, oh well, it looked so hard, so maybe that's why. Like I don't care if you couldn't complete it. You can do the most complicated dunk in the world. If you can't complete it, you don't get a score. You get zeros.
You get 0s, a 1, or a 2. Like,
yeah,
that's
not 6s. Not 6s. That's above. That's above average. That means your dunk was like legitimately okay.
Mm-hmm. And then every dunk is like an 8 or a 9. They're like, oh, that's a 9. That's a 9. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a 9. I don't care. Like you can, like we see these dunks every year. They're the same. Like change it up.
I do think well someone proposed this idea to me and I think I'm kind of becoming more in favor of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should just not do NBA players anymore. Maybe we should do like, guys off the streets cuz like if you watch some of these dunk contests from like just guys who hoop regularly, those are like some of the most insane dunks you've ever seen, like backflips and stuff like that. Like they're really pointing out all the stops. And if you give them a chance to be on a national stage, you gotta think like how creative they could get with some of these dunks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And but for like NBA players, it really doesn't mean that much to win a dunk contest now.
No, it
Like, it used
doesn't.
to
It
be
doesn't
huge,
matter.
but I think honestly, I think with LeBron deciding not to do it, I think that's what set a trend of like it's not that big of a deal, you know?
Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and well, the other thing too, is like I remember even in the like even in the early 2010s, you had guys like I forget who it was. Um, there was the dude who like put a cupcake and lit a candle. And he
yeah,
like blew the candle out when he dunked it. There were some guys doing two balls, like
yeah,
they did a double dunk. Things like that are more interesting. Like even if it's like a basic dunk,
yeah.
because they tried something else, it makes it a little bit more interesting and cool and fresh. Um, I remember when Blake Griffin did the car thing, a lot of people were like, well, he did it over the front of the car, so like it wasn't even that like hard. But it's how epic he made it, right? It's how he built it up with the choir and
Yeah,
everything.
and the slow drive out, and who was in it?
Yeah,
Was it was Baron? Dang, what's that guy's name?
it was his teammate. I don't
Yeah,
remember who it was though. I kind of want to say it
Baron Davis. It was Baron Davis, I think, was in the car.
was that who it was? I thought maybe it was DeAndre, but I can't remember. Um, but yeah, I mean, even like things like that were like way cooler, but now they're just like, I'm gonna run up. They're like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna run up to it, and I'm gonna dunk it with both hands. And they're like, it's like, wow, that sounds like a 9. Woo! And it's just like, I've seen people like, I don't know, it's just not as fun, man. They definitely need to. I think they should do themes. Like, I think they should be like, you have to incorporate this in some way. You have to incorporate this in some way. Like, you need to incorporate this in some way. There was one. I think I remember a dude who there was a teddy bear, and he like grabbed the teddy bear with his teeth while he was like up, like a stuffed animal with his teeth while he was like up there. Just like stuff like that is like a lot more interesting. But you may also have a lack of creativity with certain guys
Yeah.
that are doing it. Like, I don't think there's any way you can always make it a good year, but
Well,
anyways, that's what I think.
I'm sure they missed having Zion. Because I'm sure if Zion would have been there, it'd have been a pretty epic dunk contest with just his presence
That's
alone.
probably true. That's probably
But
true.
he's been so injured all season, so I don't know.
When is he not injured?
I'm still curious to know who still watches the All Star weekend. Like, if you're not going to the event, like, why are you watching it?
Yeah, I don't know too many people who watch it.
Yeah,
It's
especially live. Like, I mean, I
yeah.
know a lot of people watch the highlights afterwards, but like, I don't know anyone who like
Mhm.
wants to watch it live anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because it's starting to become like the NFL Pro Bowl, like we talked
Yeah,
about a couple weeks ago. It's kind of starting to become like that, or the skills that they do that
yeah.
weekend. People just don't really tune in to watch it. Like, it's more for the players, and
I
that's
honestly
about
think they
it.
should go back to the East versus West. I think that was when it was at its best.
Yeah. You know what I think is getting more interesting is I think the MLB All Star Game is actually getting some traction. I
Really?
think it's a lot more popular than it used to be. Or it could be going down. I'm not like the biggest baseball fan, but I feel like I hear more about the MLB All Star Game
Hmm.
because they do like home run derby and stuff like that. Like, I think people are more interested in that now than they are like basketball or football when it comes to All Star
Yeah.
games. So
I think also though it's the competitive nature though of generations, right? Because
yeah.
if you remember back in the day, those old guys, I mean, they played every
Hmm.
game hard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, maybe they played the first 2 quarters a little easier, but like all of them were super competitive people, so they all
Hmm.
wanted to win. But now we have a generation of people. I think I'm not saying they're not
Hmm.
competitive, but our competitiveness is different. You know,
Hmm.
it's we're competitive. We're competitive to what's important. We're not competitive to everything.
Yeah.
So like every game doesn't matter. Some
Hmm.
games matter, but not every game matters. And so we cut it on when it matters, but not when it doesn't matter. And so a lot of these guys, I don't think really care to perform very well
Hmm.
during the All Star, especially because you don't want to get hurt. That's probably the main thing is you just don't want to get hurt. You want to avoid
Yeah.
any injuries or anything like that. Because still have a whole half season to go. More like what 40 games still left to play, and then you got the playoffs stuff like
Hmm.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. And maybe it could also be because I'm just not as attached to the NBA as I used to be. I don't watch this heavily. That could also be it.
Maybe. I mean, I think people just have more going on in their life than they
Could be.
used to,
Yeah.
Also, like I said, with social media and stuff, it's a lot less interesting. You can watch stuff like this all the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
with YouTube, and there's people who I'm sure, they do. There's people who have YouTube channels specifically for that kind of
Dunks and stuff
stuff.
like
You
that.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like if you want to watch it, if you want that content, it's already out there being made, and
And
a lot of it's more creative than the
that's what I was
professionals.
about to say. It's probably even at a higher level, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I don't know. They did a show actually. Do you remember the Dunk King?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did that show like during the NBA season. I think the first season of that did really good, but after that, I don't know how many people watched it. So it just may not be that interesting anymore. But I think if they want to add more creativity, then what they need to do is either do themes where they incorporate something, that's unknown to the dunkers, incorporate something each round, and then also they need to change the scores up. They need to have fans score it instead of the
Yeah.
commentators. Like
You
that
think
would
this
be
would be harsher?
yeah, they would be harsher for sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you had like 4, 5, or 6 fans that were there that were picked out of the audience to judge it, they would be, they'd have to be unbiased. You'd have to ask them to be unbiased, but like they would be a lot more interesting than probably the judges. Or you could just have 2 fans in there with a couple commentators, like if you're going to do that, like
Yeah.
just mix it up to where the scores are not going to be like so crazy all the time, because at least even if say like all the commentators did like 8s, but then like you have 2 fans that gave like a 3, like that would be people would tune in just for that, right? Like they
Yeah.
would be like,
Yeah.
what? That's crazy. Like why would you give that a 3? Or oh man, the fans are right. Like they should have done a 3. So
Yeah.
like I think that in itself would be more interesting than just having this, because I feel like the last couple of years it's been the same thing over and over. It's like, oh man, first round we got to give him a 9, like we got to give him an 8, and it's like that was such a basic dunk. Like how is that a 9?
Yeah.
So
I would probably say I agree with you. I would like to see some veteran dunkers though. Like some guys who are actually doing it on the streets.
yeah,
Like who are like or like have maybe they have a YouTube channel devoted to dunking and stuff like that.
that would be
Um
fun, like to bring them in against the NBA players.
to bring them in against or even to have them judge because they can actually testify to how hard the dunk actually is.
Yeah, that would be
Because
cool.
even the panel is usually old guys who haven't played before or who haven't played in like years,
Yeah,
and so they've never done a dunk that complicated before, so they'll
hmm
have no idea how complicated it is to
yeah.
do.
They just know it's
So
complicated for them.
yeah, yeah. Like
You know.
Isaiah Thomas, like he's probably dunked like a handful of times his entire career. So it's like,
Yeah,
why
that's
is
a good
he
point.
judging a dunk contest? Nothing
Yeah.
against Isaiah Thomas. I love Isaiah Thomas. I love his commentary, but it's just like if we're gonna pick someone to
hmm
judge a dunk contest, let's pick someone who actually has some relevant information towards dunking.
hmm
Is what I would say at least.
Definitely, I think so. I think we just solved the NBA dunk contest problem.
I'll email Adam Silver right away. He's such a weird looking guy. Can I just say that? I feel like
He is. I always, his name. I always thought he was Russian.
is
I really did. I always thought he was.
it
Russian.
like a Russian like who's like what would be the most American sounding name? And he just like put a bunch of stuff in a hat and it's like
Silva.
Adam
Adam.
Silver. Is it Silver or Silva?
Silva. Silva.
Is it spelled Silver though, or is it pronounced?
No,
Is
it's
it
Silva. Adam Silva.
Silva?
hmm Adam Silva. I'm like
No, man, I don't
90%
think
sure.
so. It's
Are you
spelled
sure?
Silver. It's spelled Silver, but it could be pronounced Silva. Because I just googled it.
Really? I always thought it was Silva. That's
I
weird.
feel like people say it's Silva, but I know it's spelled Silver.
Yeah, you're right. It's spelled silver. That's weird. That's so weird. Wow, he's only the 5th commissioner. That makes me feel like these guys stay there forever. That's
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane. Anyways, well, I guess we will move on from there. But what do you want to do next? Do you want to talk about Ukraine a little bit, or you want to talk about?
Yeah,
You want to talk?
we can go and get into Ukraine. We can save the Disney Plus stuff for last. Ukraine's a little bit more of a heavy topic.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Well, guys, while we're in between, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Just real quick, we're on Facebook. We stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and it's at Just Visiting WJE. So you can check out any of those places. Just type in Just Visiting, and you'll see our little logo, which is up here in the right-hand corner on your screen. You'll see that on there. And feel free to go ahead and give us a like. So. But you'll see that on pretty much all of our social media as well. If you go to Instagram, or Twitter or Facebook as well. So we're on all those. So you'll see this banner right here. Oh, it's not coming up. Oh, because that's behind us. Never mind. Anyways, you'll just see that logo in the corner. So, anyways, but Jonathan wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Ukraine. So, we're going to talk a little bit about politics. I don't know as much about what's going on. I just haven't been paying attention this week. Usually, I'm a little more on top of the stuff. But, anyways, he's been kind of researching a little bit, and he wanted to give his take on it. So, Jonathan, you can take it over from here.
Yeah, I wouldn't profess myself to be an expert in the field, guys. So don't.
What?
I would say take my.
You're
take
so
my,
humble.
take my explanation with a grain of salt. There are far more qualified people, but I did do some research into what's going on with Ukraine, just because we've always heard of rumors of wars and stuff going on, but this is confirmation. Like, it's actually going down. People are actually dying right now across the world, in like a war. Like, this is for real now. So I want to know what's going on. And so this is so it starts basically, obviously, with Vladimir Putin. He's the current president of Russia. I put president in quotes just because if you know anything about Russian politics, it's not the same as ours. So what you might consider our president to be is not what Russia would consider their president to be whatsoever. So totally different system. It's more dictatorship. But on the face of it, it's presented as a democracy. He's known for taking out enemy combatants, obviously, and also anyone who politically disagrees with them. He's known for not just like trying to silence them, but like literally killing them in some instances, imprisoning them in other instances. Which is why a lot of people fled from Russia when he came to power. Um, so there, he it kind of starts when he was a lot younger. Um, he was originally a part of the original Soviet Union, is what I understand, and he had ideals of Russia returning to its former glory with the Soviet Union. Um, after they got disbanded, he was obviously very shaken up, like most of the Soviet Union, politicians were at that time. They and a lot of them, even still today, long for the days of the secular hammer, of the USSR, of that type of government, and of that type of kingdom, expansive imperialistic kingdom. But after the fall of the Soviet Union, a lot of their the frontier of their countries got chopped off and became independent. Ukraine, um, and a lot of those Baltic Eastern European states kind of just broke off from Europe. I mean, from Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union. But if you talk to anyone in the region, they're all basically still very culturally similar, and even I want to almost say even in their language they're pretty similar. Um, as far as the deviations of their language roots. So it's not like us compared to Japan, right? It's more like us compared to like Canada, or maybe us compared to like the Caribbean islands, where we kind of share a lot of common cultural things because we live in the same sort of geographical location. So anyway, what happened was there was a conference, Geneva conference, and right before the conference, my understanding, Vladimir Putin sent a ton of his Russian military to right to the border between Ukraine and Russia. Now, this fight with Ukraine has been going on for decades now, and Vladimir Putin has always been talking about how he wants to bring Ukraine back into the fold of Russia, and he's often attacked them, and he's threatened to attack them. But what's always been standing in the way between them and between Ukraine and Russia has been usually NATO or some sort of some sort of geopolitical allies for the Ukrainians who are in Europe. You know, that's usually been what's been the sort of pushback from to Putin has been, hey, we're going to come in defense of these guys if you decide to do anything. Now that still hasn't made him less bold about it. He still attacked Crimea, during Obama's presidency, and he actually did conquer Crimea and brought them into Russia. And now he's trying to do the same thing with Ukraine. So right before the summit, the Geneva conference, he put all these states stationed, all these 100,000 troops on the border between Russia and Ukraine. And so it was basically a very savvy political move by him. So because he has a force already standing at the door, and he goes to the conference and says, "Hey, so my forces are waiting. They're right outside Ukraine, and I will attack if you don't do what I want you to do." He's talking to the other members of the Geneva Conference, other nations like America, obviously, Britain, European nations, and stuff like that. And he's basically like, one, NATO needs to stop accepting allies. No more allies for NATO. You guys are done. Don't accept any more allies. And two, you guys need to withdraw all of your support from Eastern Europe. And three, you need to remove your dealings in Eastern Europe, basically. And so obviously this is like him tipping his hat saying, if you don't do this, I'm going to attack Ukraine. And the conference was basically like, hey, if you do that, we're going to come. We're not going to just sit silently if you try to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the reason why I say it was savvy, not that I'm condoning what he's doing, but I'm saying it's savvy because it was him setting himself up to basically morally or legally or from a person's from a public perspective, give him the right to attack Ukraine, because he can say, hey, I went to the conference to try to peaceably resolve this with these Western nations, but they've all banded together to deny Ukraine from joining our country. And so now I need to go in there and remove them so that I can bring Ukraine back to, back to its roots with Russia. And so he obviously began his assault on Ukraine. And what I just recently looked was that they are actually close to capturing the capital, which is Kiev. But the fight's not over. Just because you capture the capital doesn't really mean anything. The Ukrainian government was handing out weapons to citizens, and a lot of the families of the people who are going to stay back and fight have already been shipped out further west, and so they're actively resisting this incursion. The Ukrainians are, as of now. Now I'm sure there are a lot of sympathetic Ukrainians who are who feel like Russia is on their side or whatever. But as of now, it doesn't seem that anyone's really doing anything to oppose Russia besides the Ukrainians. And America, we've levied some sanctions on them, but nothing that's going to directly affect them and really hurt them long term. If we really want to do something, it would have to be against their gas or oil or industry that they import to the U.S. That's usually where they make the most money. Russia does from us, as far as I know. But you have to, if one thing I want to say, if you don't think this is happening because we have a new president, you're sadly mistaken. Like, I'm not saying that Trump is just the best ever and he would have definitely kept us out of a war or whatever, or stopped
Yes, you
it from
are.
happening.
That's what you're saying. No,
But I am saying, if we don't think that the reason that he's attacking Ukraine right now is because Joe Biden's in office and he had a humongous debacle with Afghanistan, that he doesn't feel a little bit more like, hey, I can probably get away with this and they probably won't do anything about it because Joe Biden's in office, like that's a pretty logical thing to conclude if you're looking at the situation. Now the question in the West is, do we get involved? Are we willing to confront them and actually go to war against Russia for Ukraine? Some people believe we should because we fight for freedom, we fight for democracy, and Ukraine has developed a sort of democratic state, and they are actively fighting against. It's not like the Afghans, but the Afghans kind of just surrendered when we walked away. We were like, hey, you guys need to go fight them. They're like, nah, we give up. But the Ukrainians are actually entrenching themselves to wage a long-term fight against the Russians. So some people are like, yeah, we should go help them. We should go, support them in this time of need. Other people are like, well, we don't really want to get in a conflict with Russia. It really has nothing to do with the United States. So why should we get involved? Even if it is, to help people, it's like, how much longer are we going to be the global police force of the world?
Yeah.
How much more money in American lives are going to be spent at the expense of trying to help other nations, which again don't really have much to do with us. Now there is a oil incentive to help Ukraine because we get as what I recently looked it up. We get like 7% of our oil comes from Russia, and there is a major pipeline in Ukraine that we do get oil from. So there is a oil incentive to go in there and stop Russia from gaining even more control of the amount of oil that we get from them. Now, as everyone should already know, because you've experienced this, gas prices right now are ridiculously high because we ourselves don't manufacture our own oil. We don't do any of that anymore since Biden got into office. Shut down the Keystone Pipeline. He's banned any sort of drilling on public lands, which is where we were becoming more energy independent under Trump. So there could be a imperative for us to go over there just to secure our own interest. So it may be like that, if we give them this pipeline, that gives them even more power over us to dictate, what we do. Because if let's just say for instance sake, if their amount of oil they imported to us went from 7% to maybe 20% or 14% even, that's a pretty high number. And if you were to just say if Putin was to say, hey, I'm not giving you any more oil, that's 14% of the oil that we normally get, we don't have anymore. And if you think gas prices are high now, if you think inflation is bad now, imagine what happens if we suddenly remove 14% of the amount of oil that we normally get off the market. You could be talking about like $7-8 of gas for a gallon. You could really be talking about something like that. And obviously, with gas prices increasing, that's going to increase the food. It's going to increase food shortages. It's going to increase the cost of goods just because trucks that transport stuff all over the country,
Yeah.
it costs them to get gas too. So if they have to pay higher taxes, higher money in gas, then that's only going to translate to what your bottom line is when you go to the grocery store. So eggs could be like $2-3 a day, and they could be $10-15 in a year or two because Ukraine now, Russia now has control of that Ukrainian oil as well. So it's a bit of a predicament for our current president, and I'm not very confident that I would want him to be our wartime general if we were to go to war in the first place. And I'm also very anti-war and when it doesn't have anything to do with us.
I don't envy his position either at the moment.
No. Yeah, I don't.
Because it's easy to. I mean, you're not saying this, but it's
Yeah.
easy to be like, well, he should do this or he should do that, and it's like, yeah, but you're not the president.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this.
You don't feel the weight of the responsibility to the American citizens, and
Yeah.
I would not. I don't want us to go fight another war for no reason. And then, especially if it results in the loss of countless lives, like, again, this is not me saying that all the wars that we fought in were bad or that like I hate the people who fought in the wars. I'm not saying that. I support our troops. I love our troops. I'm so grateful that we have a strong military. I think we need to continue to increase our strength in the military. But what I do not like is I don't like the loss of life for pointless reasons. Especially when it turns out to be pointless. Like all the guys that we sent to Afghanistan and Iran, and then we withdraw and ISIS takes right over. It's like it feels like the loss of life there was pointless. Or Vietnam, or it's like.
So you're kind of you're coming from the point of we need to be careful about going to war because these aren't just well, basically soldiers aren't just cannon fodder. Like they're lives, and
Exactly.
you need to be very careful about just going into a war for no reason, right?
Yeah, which is why. I mean, I've historically I've gone back and forth on my position about the dropping the atomic bomb against Japan. But I've been more recently more in favor of it just because it spared the loss of more lives that would have been lost had we
Yeah.
tried to wage and this is not like this wouldn't have been a fight, just go to Tokyo and beat them and then we're done. This would have been like a
Mhm.
full scale, long term. We're talking like an additional 3-4 years on the war that was already,
Mhm.
3-4 years in already. It was already
Mhm.
that long. We're talking about an additional 3-4 years to add on top of that we would have had to
Mhm.
spend going to war against them, and it
Mhm.
wasn't even sure that we would ever have like convincingly won because of the way that the Japanese how they see that they see their emperor as almost like a godlike figure, like someone to
Mhm.
worship and deify. So if
Mhm.
he would have said the war was never over, the war was never over for them,
Mhm.
basically. So I am more approving of it now just because I understand that it didn't cost us as many American lives as it could have. That could be
Mhm.
very nationalistic of me, but I really do care about our like if I'm going to put a premium on like if I'm going to choose a life
Mhm.
to not saying like I don't value the lives, but if I'm going to I'm trying to be careful here, but if I'm going to choose a place to put a premium on it, it's going to be on American lives first, and then
Mhm.
every other life after that is important. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I'm going to put a premium on American lives,
Mhm.
first and foremost, because they're the people who took up the cause to fight. So
Mhm.
their lives really really do matter.
Mhm. Yeah.
But anyway, I want to get your take. I don't know how much of that you heard, but I want to get your take on what would you advise of our commander in chief,
Mhm.
the most votes in the history of election history and the most
Yeah.
popular president ever.
Well, I mean, I heard all of it. I had my headphones on, so I was able to hear everything. But man, I am I'm not in a good place to advise anybody to do anything. I think it's so I was telling you this earlier. I'm one of those people who um my emotions want to rush in and just like save people. Like that's because because I cherish life and I cherish the lives of other people, and I don't like seeing anybody. Uh, I mean, I can't imagine living in a state of fear and panic like that, where you never know when the next like missile's going to come and attack you, or the next uh, the next day may be your last, basically. And
Hmm.
so that is very, very scary, and I can't imagine living in that. But if I if I was like the person who was in charge, I would probably say be careful with how you know be careful with how you choose your battles, because you're with war, that's very much what you're doing. Unless somebody just starts attacking you, unless it's like a terrorist attack, or if it's something where someone deliberately attacks America, and you have to defend yourself. The way war works is you're basically choosing your battles. And you have to be very careful with that, because America, in the sense, is kind of a big gun.
Yeah.
Not to make them very, very like, not to make the analogy extremely simple, but you got to be careful where you're aiming it. You got to be careful what you're doing with that kind of power. Um, and you definitely can't just go willy nilly into some place and be like, I'm going to kick butt and take names, because
Yeah.
that's not, because you're also messing with people's lives, you're messing with people's cultures, you're messing with people's, um, uh, their countries are in different states, and to some extent, you're not supposed to be the saving grace you know, for history, so to speak. You're not. America's not a messianic figure, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, it's not. And in the past, the other thing though too is I'm not one of those people who's like, well, we should never go into war either. I do think there's good times to go into war. I do think there's times where it's beneficial to go into war. Um, I don't think I could ever be the person to make that call, though. Like if you were like, okay, Eric, well, you tell the troops to go to war. No, I don't think I could ever do that. So, I'm not that type of person. But I think probably at this point in time, I think it's a little early. I think it's very early to be like, hey, we're going to go to war right now. I think there's just too many factors going on. Where I see us going to war is basically where America is being deliberately, it's kind of like all the other world wars, so to speak. So because people are talking about this as if it's a world war, which it's not at the moment. It's just conditions are in place to where it could potentially be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like those other ones. America's always kind of like the last person to go in because they don't want to jeopardize anything. And so I think until America is directly offended by something that's happening, and by offended I mean like someone's deliberately cutting off our supplies to something, or someone's actually trying to hurt our country, that's when I think we'll probably get involved. I don't know. I just don't have the answer though.
Yeah.
But I do think the other thing though is like Putin is one of those guys where you also wonder if you don't stop him early, you won't be able to stop him because he's very I mean, I don't like to say anything good about him, but he seems very headstrong. Like he's going to be hard to, once he gets going, he seems like somebody who'd be hard to stop.
Yeah.
So you also wonder maybe it's better to end this early while you can before it gets too crazy.
Yeah.
Because that's also the downside of hindsight, right? Is like if you knew that World War II was going to lead to what it did, America probably would have jumped in earlier. If you knew it was going to be that crazy, yeah, you probably would want to stop that.
Yeah. And the European nations probably wouldn't have appeased Hitler in the first place if they knew it was going to lead to a world war.
Yeah,
Probably would have taken him out right away.
Definitely. So you kind of wonder, it's all that kind of stuff wrapped into one. Man, the way our president has handled foreign affairs, not just Afghanistan, but like when you see him go to other countries, he's not respected very well. That's kind of the scary thing about it is like I don't know how he's gonna handle all of this.
Yeah.
Come
on,
I
man.
don't.
Listen here, fat. Let's go behind this. Let's go behind the building. We'll talk it out.
He'll challenge Putin to a push-up contest, probably. You want to do some push-ups? Anyways,
No, but one thing we have to be concerned about, is China. You have to imagine that China is looking at this as their opportunity as well, right?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of like we don't in the West we don't learn about foreign history as much as we probably need to, because it's so relevant to us that we don't even understand how relevant it is. But there are a lot of countries over there who formerly were together, but because part of it is our responsibility because we proclaim freedom throughout the world and democracy throughout the world, that a lot of these places are broken off from the main part. Like, so for instance, Taiwan, China has always believed that Taiwan was part of its birthright. Basically, they believe that they should own Taiwan. But the United States has been one of the people who have recognized Taiwan's independence, and so it's always kind of been a stalemate between us and China. As like, hey, don't do anything, or we're gonna come over there. But you gotta think that if Putin can get away with this and he like actually does capture Ukraine, and no one like does anything to really stop him, you got to be thinking China's licking their chops. Like, why don't we just go over there to Taiwan and do the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Like, who's really going to stop us?
Yeah, and I've been told that we get a lot of. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I didn't go into detail. I've been told that we get a lot of we have a lot of technology kind of deals with Taiwan, so to speak, like as far as we kind of trade in they help us in ways to where, they help improve our technology and things like that. You see a lot of things that are made in Taiwan that are usually, electronics based. But I believe it even goes to a deeper level than that. Like it's not just trade. Like I believe they're actually on the forefront of a lot of technological innovation, and I believe I could be wrong, so don't quote me, and you might want to double check this, guys. But I believe we actually do a lot of kind of trade secrets, so to speak, in that in the realm of technological innovation. So that is if that happened, I think we would probably step in.
Yeah.
Especially because the thing is, we don't verbally stand up for Taiwan. Like there was the whole thing that happened during COVID, where the the World Health Organization wouldn't recognize Taiwan as a country. There was a lot of things where there was John Cena apologizing to China for acknowledging Taiwan. So there was like a lot of different things that have happened where like our country does not stand up for that country either. So I would expect us to defend them, but I'm not actually sure if we would. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Yeah. But also, I mean, and but the thing I'm thinking about is like you got to see all the dominoes are gonna fall if this is allowed to happen, right? Because not
Mm-hmm.
only is there China, but there's also could be Japan. Maybe Japan wants some of those smaller islands next to it, or maybe it
Mm-hmm.
wants Hawaii back. It could be
Mm-hmm.
Israel because we've always supported Israel, but our president isn't as pro-Israel as our last president.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the Muslims go, hey, if Russia can get away with this, why can't we? Why can't we just go into Israel and
Yeah.
take them out?
So you're saying like basically we're kind of the we're kind of the people who keep all the other countries in check, so
Yeah,
to
we, we,
speak.
we've
Yeah.
we've been the stopgap for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've been the
Yeah.
we've been the wall holding back the flood, and now it's starting to pour over. There's starting to be some cracks in the foundation, and we're getting
Mm-hmm.
tested basically.
Yeah.
And it's up to our president to give a bold response that is not
Mm-hmm.
going to just please our ears, but actually going to
Mm-hmm.
invoke action. That's actually going
Yeah.
to do something about the situation. Because again, I'm telling you, man, if this domino falls, we could very easily be looking at another world war in like we're talking about like 4 or 5 years. That sounds far off, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really not that far off. It's really
Yeah.
not, and it wouldn't be a fight over ideas or
Mm-hmm.
territories. It'd be a fight over resources. It'd be a fight
Yeah.
over who controls the oil. Because if Russia and ISIS and Afghanistan and Iraq and all
Mm-hmm.
these Muslim nations enter a contract to stop supplying us with oil,
Mm-hmm.
they hold all the power. We have no other way. We have nothing we can do to them to be like, well, you better give it to us. And they're gonna be like, or what? You're gonna bomb us? Okay, then you're definitely not gonna get the oil. Like
Yeah.
they hold all the cards. So if
Mm-hmm.
if 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 Russia's able to take Ukraine and the Muslims ask Russia to back them when they take Israel, it could literally, I'm telling you, this could all fall
Mm-hmm.
apart and be a disaster within the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I think it's just difficult because if you send troops over there, you could make things worse.
Oh, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know what I
And I
mean?
wouldn't advocate for that. What I would say is we need a very strong threat of a bluff of like there needs to
Yeah.
be. I don't and the reason why I can't give you something concrete is only just because I don't know specifically all the weaponry that we have or all the things that we're able to do.
Oh yeah. I
But
don't
there
think
needs to be
anybody does.
something bold and specific that we do to show our strength again, to just remind them like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, don't forget we are who we say we are. Like we are,
Mm-hmm.
we're about that action. So if you want it, we can give it to you. And it
Yeah.
needs to be decisive. It needs to be decisive so
Mm-hmm.
that Putin backs off. Like
Maybe
you
some sort of uh, weapons demonstration, so to speak.
well, it
Yeah.
needs to be in Ukraine as well. Like we need to be public. We need to be public about our support for them,
Yeah.
and we need to be bold about our pushback against Russia, even if that means
Mm-hmm.
maybe some drone strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we go and start helping them out by just sending drones. We don't
Mm-hmm.
send no people over there, but we just send drones, and we
Yeah.
supply them with weaponry. Whatever weaponry we can supply them with, we supply them with that, and we let them
Mm-hmm.
let Russia know in no uncertain terms we will push back against you if you try to
Mm-hmm.
come and take them over. We will push back, but it needs to
Yeah.
happen soon because if they take the capital, that's a
Mm-hmm.
political victory if nothing else.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. No, you're right. man, I wish I knew a little bit more about what was going on. But basically, I think the thing that I probably liked about Trump um, was that he seemed, whenever he went overseas, he had a respectful he seemed to be respectfully intimidating to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's like it, here's the thing with Trump, right? Whether you like him or not, he barks, right? He
Yeah.
barks back. Whether you agree with how he barks or what he barks about, that's totally different. But it's better to have someone who barks back than somebody who rolls over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
So like,
you have to believe the bark too. Like it can't be just be
mhm.
someone who barks because he's like,
And
okay,
there's
but what
no
are you really
bite.
gonna do?
Yeah.
There's no
and
no
and that
real
was
bite.
and that was the thing, is that he'd put sanctions in place, um, and he'd done stuff. He pulled out of NATO. He pulled out of wait, was it NATO? Sorry, what did he pull out of? It was NAFTA.
NAFTA, yeah.
Sorry, he pulled out of NAFTA. He did things that people were like, well, that's really surprising that America did that.
Yeah.
And it was because you showed that he followed through with a lot of the things that he said he would do, with as far as foreign affairs go.
Yeah, he
Claimed
wasn't
that,
a politician in the way like most politicians are, where they just kind of say stuff to say it and make it
yeah,
sound good, but they don't actually back it up
hmm
with action.
yeah,
He showed the world that he was a man of his word. So if he told you he was going to do something, you could
yeah,
basically take it to the bank. He was going to do that. And
yeah,
so I think that's what kept the people in line. But another part of my concern also is our allies, because they're watching us
hmm
as well, And if we are the superpower that we claim to be and we can't push Russia back, do
hmm
you start thinking some of them start going, do I really want to be on their side or do I want to take Russia's side? You
yeah,
know,
that's
do
true.
eh, do I really feel comfortable that America is going to come to my defense, or do I not trust where they're currently at politically speaking?
Yeah,
Maybe I need to go help Russia.
yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, where America has a lot of enemies that don't reveal themselves,
Yeah,
but they will reveal themselves when they see someone's getting the upper hand, right?
exactly. I mean, a
So
lot of
like,
these nations, you got to think about it. We've made them friendly through force.
hmm
Like we've shown force and been like, now you better be friendly with us, and then they've been like, okay, we'll be allies. But that's only
yeah,
because we've showed the force that we have, like you're saying.
yeah, hmm definitely. Yeah, and the thing about Trump that I kind of liked was, like, I actually liked seeing him with these other, you'd see him with the leader of North Korea, or you'd see him with Putin, and they would be going for a walk, they'd be talking, they'd be, probably laughing a little bit or smiling, and it wasn't. People are always like, "Oh, look, he's making friends." I never bought that. That was kind of ridiculous in my opinion. He's not making friends. There's a respectful exchange going on,
Hmm.
right? There's a respect for each other, of like Putin being like, Putin and I can't remember his name all of a sudden, but the leader of North Korea.
Kim Jong Un.
Thank you, Kim Jong Un. There was this trade of, listen, like, I respect you, and I know that you are, a powerful leader. I know that I know what you're capable of,
Hmm.
but you have to understand that I am even more capable of doing something worse
Yeah,
than you are. You know what I mean? So it's like, I will respect you as long as you respect me. We're still, we will have a and distant relationship, and that'll be about it. You know what I mean? Like, I felt
yeah,
like those were the conversations that were being had, and respect is a big thing, especially respect and honor are a big thing overseas than they are in America.
yeah,
Americans don't care what you think about them. But if you go to other countries, that's a big part of a lot of people's cultures, not just Asian culture, but like, Middle Eastern culture, I would say Russian culture for sure, being respectful of other people and their cultures. And I always thought Trump was very weird as an orator, but that was the one thing I think people overseas respected of him, was that if he said he was going to do something to them, they knew he meant it,
yeah.
as far as foreign affairs go. So I don't know. I don't know. I kind of wish, but I agree with you. We definitely need something like that, um, and probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Um, we need to put the we need to stop the tantrum that the child's having. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways,
And we also need to stop. Let's stop talking about Trump. Let's stop talking about Trump. I mean, his
yeah,
response was neither here nor there. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. Like that's. This is all a smoke screen. Let's
he's not
get
the
to the issue
president
here.
anymore. Yeah,
Yeah. This is happening during Biden's term.
yeah.
Like whatever you want to say about Trump, this did not happen during his term. This was not in any sort of
Mm-hmm.
development during his term. This was during Biden's term. Biden needs to
Mm-hmm.
fix this. And if you don't think
Mm-hmm.
if you don't think it's because of what happened in Afghanistan, you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine that Putin didn't look at that situation and go, I bet you I can get away with this. I
yeah,
bet you if I went there and took over, they wouldn't do anything about it. And I'm going to
yeah.
test them to see if they're really going, if they're really about that. I really want to see if they really want the smoke.
Well, and nobody's saying that Putin didn't have this planned for a long time.
Hmm.
Nobody's saying that he hadn't even attempted this before multiple times. We're just saying that there's a reason why he waited for so long. He was
Yeah,
waiting to see when he could strike, and we both agree that Afghanistan was probably a good sign for him.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely,
anyways, but our thoughts and prayers are with the people in Ukraine, and we just pray that
absolutely.
something changes. We think the answer is with America, but it might not be. Other things can unfold. You know what I mean? Like other people, other countries can rise up and stand up against what's going on over there.
That would be
Um,
really good if they did.
that would be awesome. I'd love it if they did.
Yeah,
It's weird. It's weird because I think people rely on America so much that they don't realize what kind of power they have in themselves.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? But a lot of the world is still are still developing, so it's kind of sad, I guess, in that point. But anyways, but we shall move on from this sad topic to something else, which makes me happy because I don't mind talking politics, but it always seems to end in
Sourness.
sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have a funny topic, like we should just like make fun of Jen Psaki or something one of these days. That would be more fun.
We'll circle back to it. We'll circle back to it.
Well, that's right. That's right. We'll look back. I hope you guys like the transitions I've been doing lately on the show. I haven't. I'm trying to make some more. Trying to make it a little more cohesive and organized. So let us know if you like those. But anyways, there's something I wanted to talk about coming up, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I wanted to get your thoughts and know what you think, because on our special stream we were talking about, which if you guys haven't watched that, you can go back and watch it on YouTube, or you can watch it on Facebook. I'm pretty sure it's still posted up there. Um, and the thing that we were talking about was the Disney Plus shows and kind of my expectations for them and how they've kind of fallen. And here's the thing: is that the Disney Plus shows that they put out, basically with like, WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, What If, and what's the other one? Hawkeye. Um, they've kind of fallen a little flat for me, just a little bit. Like they've kind of like none of them have met my expectation whenever I've watched them. Now, some of them I've talked about maybe if I binge them because there's a difference between when they would come out once a week versus like if I binge the whole series. Like we talked about how WandaVision, because the episodes are so short, I could definitely see how that show would be better if we like binge watched it and watched the whole thing at once. That may have been more enjoyable. Um, but like some of the shows just haven't been like very, they're very slow, or they're very, you kind of wonder what's going on, and then they don't reveal until the end of the show what's actually going on, and that can be really frustrating, and it doesn't make for a very fun show to watch. And I noticed too, I think people are getting less and less interested in the shows as they've gone on. I think the only reason people are excited for um, the newest show coming up, Moon Knight, is because it looks different. So it looks a little more gritty, looks a little more exciting. They've also been advertising for the show like crazy. So I think they've been advertising it a lot more than they did Hawkeye. But if you notice, the shows have gotten like less and less, fewer and fewer numbers. So WandaVision had a lot. Loki did okay, and then it got less and less as it went on. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't think did that great. Last I heard, the shows kind of started to decline from when they started. Um, and so I think part of the problem with these shows is they're not being treated as shows. They're being treated as movies that are chopped up. And I think the focus needs to stop. Well, I kind of talked about this the other day. I think the focus of the shows need to stop being focused on, like, they always seem to focus on trying to fill the gaps of the MCU. And they're like, hey, we're going to use the show to, like, explain a lot of different things that are going on, or something like that. And what they end up doing is they end up focusing more so on they they end up focusing more on building a villain, or building. They don't actually tell a cohesive story as well as you'd like them to. And so something I was thinking about is most of the shows, the good shows that we like, right? So, season 1 and 2 of Arrow. You think about Daredevil. Think about even Jessica Jones, the first season of Jessica Jones. Think about Avatar: The Last Airbender. A lot of these shows that you and I like, Jonathan, they all have things in common. Well, 3 things in common. You know who the hero is from the start. You know who the villain is, and you know they're going to meet up at the end. And that's something that all the Disney Plus shows, none of them have had that in common. If you've noticed that, you've never really known. You know, like, what, you know who the character is, but you don't know who the villain is, and you don't know where the story is going. And it takes about 4 or 5 episodes before you actually understand where the story is going.
Yeah.
Now, in a movie scenario, this makes more sense, right? Because you're watching all of it, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
the middle of the movie, oh, I know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, but you know where the movie's leading you, right? You kind of have this idea. In a show, that's really, like, frustrating and hard to understand. Like, it doesn't give you anything to keep watching for, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of these shows, in my opinion, the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes of most of these shows are very slow. They're very boring. You don't really understand, like, what the purpose of all this stuff is. And, like, it comes eventually, but sometimes the endings aren't even, like, sometimes they don't give you very much. So, like, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I know that's, like, one of your favorite shows. It had moments that I liked. You know, like, I love the train sequence that they had. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where, like,
Yeah.
like, Bucky and him are fighting. I also like the storyline of the new Captain America. That was interesting. I kind of like seeing his fall from grace. That was really fun. But my issue with that show is they were trying to do way too much in that show, and they never even set up, like, a proper villain. You know, they never really showed. They never really showed where the show was going. Like, here's the person that this is what we're building up to. This is where the climax is coming. And I'm not saying every show has to have a cookie cutter villain. Every show has to have a cookie cutter storyline. I'm just saying that a lot of these shows would benefit from some clarity.
Yeah.
Of, you know, not everything has to be a secret. Not everything has to have that MCU end credit scene in every episode. You know what I mean? Like, not everything has to be like, we're going to leave you on a cliffhanger, and then you feel like you watched the whole episode just for the cliffhanger. You know, it's like, I could have just gotten the cliffhanger. That would have been great.
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that really kind of hurts these series. The thing that I really didn't like about Falcon and the Winter Soldier is I wanted a show that was just about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wanted to see a buddy cop movie, because that's kind of how they advertised it. Like, whenever they showed the trailers, when people would talk about it who were working on it, you know, they were like, think like Lethal Weapon, think like, you know, all these other movies that are, you know, you got, you know, kind of a guy who's a little crazy mixed with a guy who's more serious, you know, mix that together and it'll be fun. And all the scenes they would show in the trailers were them together. Well, that didn't really end up happening, and we kind of ended up getting that story mixed with, like, we got a little bit of a buddy cop mixed with a socio-political story with, you know, the people who are being kicked out of housing. and then we got the story with
Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo, and then
Don't
we
forget the
got
Wakandians. They came in at
yeah,
the end.
yeah. I
Don't
forgot
forget
about
about
that too.
what was her name? Not Peggy. It's not Peggy. It's something Carter. Agent Carter.
Sharon
Sharon
Carter.
Sharon Carter. Don't forget her story.
Yeah, and it's just like it's too much.
And his sister.
right?
His sister needed a loan from the bank. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about her dad's shrimp boat. Also part of the
Yeah.
story. Don't
Yeah,
forget
they
about
were- You're kind
the
of
mental
proving my point
problems
for me.
of what's his name?
Bucky?
The new Captain America. And then don't forget Bucky. Bucky's in therapy. Don't forget about that too.
Bucky is in therapy.
Also, don't forget about the little girl,
Mhm.
who is trying to help people, but also trying to hurt people.
Yeah, that was the socio-political story. Yeah.
Don't forget about the Captain America serum. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about the black guy. He was the first Captain America. Don't forget about him.
So it's just again too much going on.
I can go on. There was a lot more. There's a lot more.
Bro, there's a
agree.
lot. There's a lot in that, and it's not that the characters are bad or anything. It's that the show would have been so much better if they were like, we're not going to use this to world build. We're using this show, use the movies to world build. You have, you can do more in a movie, in my opinion, than you can in some of these shows. And here's the other problem is I would say you could do more in the shows normally, but the shows are so short.
Yeah,
they're like you're getting
episodes,
35-minute episodes, 40-minute episodes, and they're trying to world build in each episode, and it's just kind of, hey, there's this going on, there's this going on, there's this going on, and you're just like, can we slow down a little bit? Like I can't take it all.
I'm just getting to meet these characters. Can I get to know them
Yeah.
first? Nope. On to the next thing.
Like, I mean, if you wanted to put more in there, you could do what a lot of shows do, and they have like a first half of the season storyline and a second half of the season storyline. Like you could have, and that would have been a little bit better. But like, just pick something. They could have focused the entire story around Falcon and the Winter Soldier trying to get together, and then the big bad at the end is essentially the new Captain America, right? Like that could have been the bad guy. We could have focused on their storylines a little bit more. I would have liked more focus on Falcon trying to take on that banner.
Mantle,
that of being Captain America a little bit. And we just got all these different things that are going on, and I just thought it was too much. I mean, and it gave me bits and pieces of what I wanted, but the entire thing was kind of a hodgepodge. And I felt that way about Hawkeye. I liked Hawkeye a lot, but again, they tried to do too much. Like they should have just focused on, I want to show about
Kate. Don't forget about Yelena. Don't forget about Echo. Don't forget about Echo's dad. Don't forget about Kingpin. Don't forget about Hawkeye. Don't forget about the play. Don't forget about his kids.
I forgot about the play.
Don't forget about Christmas. Don't forget about the party. Don't forget about her new stepfather-in-law almost. Don't forget about her stepfather-in-law's uncle. Don't forget about the Ronin suit.
Her dad that died.
Don't forget about the Russians. Don't forget about the Russian's girlfriend.
Yes.
Don't forget.
Okay. Anyways, so again, it's just for a 6-episode show. It's a lot to force into these shows.
Yeah.
And it makes it for great clickbait. It's a great clickbait show. It's like, guess who's in this episode? And it's like, no way! And then you click on it, and then you're like, wow, I was waiting forever to get to that scene, and we finally got there. But that was great. And it's like, yeah, like I told you in the special thing, like, I like that Kingpin was in the show, but he was really unnecessary. Like that was the villain. And they kind of shoehorned him in there. He was the villain of the story. Like, you could have just made it her mom. Why did he have to be?
You could have found out like at the end of the season that Kingpin was really who was in control, and then she went after Kingpin.
Yeah, if they were going to use him, don't even have him in there for a few minutes for a fight. Like just I would have rather him just have one line maybe at the end, and you're like, whoa, he's in the show, or or I don't know, just that would have been it. And she's just mad at her mom, and Hawkeye really didn't do anything in that show. If you think about it, like he had some good scenes, but the show wasn't really about him. It was more about Kate. And I liked Loki, and the reason I probably liked it the most is because it had a very linear story. It was about Loki. That's what the show was about. It was about, you know what I mean? And even now, the thing that a lot of people don't like about Loki is the ending's kind of lackluster. There's not really a big bad, right? Like, there's not. That story's more about mystery. Um, so, I can understand that viewpoint. Like, what didn't you like about Loki? I know you didn't like the ending.
Yeah, it just felt overly complicated. Like it felt like someone was like, "Look, I'm really smart. Look how smart I am," and they like wrote the story, and they're like,
Like time
"See how smart
travel.
the story is? This is so
Yeah.
smart." And yeah, I really wish there was a villain. I felt like,
Hmm.
and I really wish we would have got to see more of ruthless Loki. Like that's what I was hoping for because I was like, man,
Me
this is
too.
this is right after like he's trying to take over the Earth, so he should be
Hmm.
like straight up evil, like not even like a hint of like
Hmm.
somberness. Because what brought him, at least this was my conclusion, what brought him to the good side was Thor.
Hmm.
But since there's no Thor, he should be like straight up like I'm gonna murder everybody,
Yeah.
like whatever, whatever. I mean, he was never like
Hmm.
never like a like a psychopath thing like that. But he usually was like I'm trying to be in control of everything. I'm trying to take over everything. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I felt like he got humble very very quickly, and then it was like okay, now
Yeah.
on to being a hero. I was like
Yeah.
what?
And that was one thing about the show too that they advertised. They kept saying that um oh, we're going to focus on, when we get him, he's going to be ruthless Loki when we first see him. And I understood what they were trying to do in the show. They were trying to have this really, and that the scenes in that show were really really good. Like the character driven scenes in that show were really really good.
Hmm.
It's just it's a little unbelievable that it was that quick of a turn, and I
Yeah.
agree. Um,
How many
I
movies
like,
did it take him? It took him like what 3 4 movies before he turned.
yeah. So Thor Ragnarok. So that's so I don't want to get off into the weeds, but like that's one reason I didn't like Thor Ragnarok is because at the end of Thor 2, he double crosses his brother in Thor: The Dark World without you realizing it because he fakes his death.
Hmm.
The best scenes in Thor: The Dark World, in my opinion, have Loki in them. That's what makes the movie. Like the scene where he dies after he's with his brother is like super emotional. But then you find out he's alive and he's pretending to be Odin. But then in Thor Ragnarok, they play that off as a joke, right? They just play it off as a joke, and it's like, oh, so he's not evil anymore? And they're like, yeah, he's not evil anymore. And it's like okay, like that. So Thor Ragnarok is when. So I'd say probably about 3 movies.
You like Matt
Yeah.
Damon's portrayal of Loki?
I love Matt Damon in that movie. It's funny. I'm not saying that movie's terrible. It's a very funny movie. It's just, how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways.
Wait. Before we move on,
Mhm.
what was I about to say? I wonder why I turned him good in the first place at all. Like you can give him a
Mhm.
moment of good, but why make him good? Like a
Yeah.
hero.
Yeah.
Like him dying for Thor in Infinity War, I was so confused. I was like, why would he do that? Like he had like no plan whatsoever. This is like the guy who's plans on top of plans on top of
Yeah.
plans. He's like always
Yeah.
scheming. So why wouldn't he
Yeah.
have a better plan than like let Thanos snap my neck?
I liked his death in Infinity War, so I can't really agree with you. But Thor Ragnarok made it more believable because he actually stayed with Thor at the end of that movie. If you remember, like he, Thor makes a joke like, "Oh, I wish you were really here," and then he like throws a rock or something at him, and then he
Oh
catches it,
yeah.
and he's like, "I really am here." So they play it, they end it where it's believable that they're, in my opinion,
No,
that
no,
it's
I get him dying for him. I get that sentiment, but I'm saying
you're just like, oh, it's unbelievable that he died that quick.
yeah, it's unbelievable that he didn't have a better plan than just let
That's fair.
Thanos snap my neck. Like he knew how if there was anyone who knew how
Thanos worked.
yeah, it was
Him.
Loki because he literally
Yeah.
was like serving
Working
under
for him.
yeah, and he was playing to double cross him and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
if anyone knew how ruthless Thanos was, it was Loki. So like that scene didn't make sense to me because I was like, oh, he's faking. He's faking. It's
Yeah.
it's like a double or something like that. And then it's like, no, he's
Mhm.
really dead. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I can agree with that. I was very surprised they killed him. I remember when I saw that, and I think
So
I was a
soon,
little.
right? Weren't you
Yeah, I was a
surprised how
little.
soon it was?
I was a little uncomfortable too, but I think that was the point of the scene, was to be like, what? He killed him already? But it is, I agree with you. But Infinity War and Endgame, you kind of have to suspend disbelief a little bit more than you normally do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But, because to be honest, once Thanos got the majority of the Infinity Gauntlet, of the Infinity Stones, you would think he would have just, like, destroyed everyone. You know what I mean? Taken all their power away with the Power Stone. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you would think he would have thought a little bit more so. But anyways, but the Disney Plus shows, Loki and WandaVision are probably my favorite because they don't try to stuff as much in. Again, WandaVision, I still think tried to stuff too many things in, but the show was still centered around Wanda and Vision.
Wait.
It what
What's your show ranking of all
I
the shows that we've seen so far? What's your show ranking?
I can't remember if I have. I either have Loki or WandaVision at number 1 or 2. I don't know which one. I go back and forth. I would say I probably enjoyed WandaVision more. The second half of that show was really good. So I probably have WandaVision at 1, Loki at 2, because I liked Loki for the mystery side of it, but it wasn't very like actiony. So you really have to pay attention to what's going on. Like, my brother was so confused when he saw that show. He was just like, he's like, I didn't like it. It was so confusing. I didn't even understand the ending. And I was just like, okay, sorry. So you really have to focus on that show. So I would say that's second. Third, I probably have Hawkeye, just because the characters were good in that, but again, it was doing too much. Fourth, I probably have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I really didn't. I was so.
What about What If?
What If's probably last. I'm not going to put it above Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I can't do
Okay,
that.
I was about to say criminal.
When I only like a couple episodes of the show, I can't put it above. But that's probably my ranking. And I have qualms with all the shows though. Like, each show, I'm kind of like, this wasn't that great. Like, again, if I binge like WandaVision, it's probably pretty good. If I watched all the episodes in one sitting. I would probably enjoy it, but it's just, again, they're trying to do too much, and there's too much mystery surrounding some of these shows. Like the reason I like Daredevil so much is because I know that something's coming in the first episode. I know that there's something in the background. There's somebody in the background working everything. It's alluded to.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh snap, I wonder who that's going to be. And then they show, I think like in the third episode is when they first show Kingpin.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wow, this is the dude. And then
And
that's
boy,
when
do they show him. And boy, do they show him.
well, the fourth episode is with the car door scene.
Yeah.
And so the third episode at the end is where they show him, and then the fourth episode. And so, like, there's a slow burn at the beginning of that. And then once they show him, it's like, boom. And Jessica Jones is the same way. Like, you hear of the Purple Man, you know something bad happened to Jessica. You see the Hope girl, like, kill her parents in that first episode, and you're like, whoa, what would possess someone to do that? And it's just crazy. And so, but you know that the show is leading you someplace. You just don't know how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And with these Marvel shows, or with the Disney Plus shows, they keep doing sleight of hand in every show. It's like, ooh, look over here. Whoop, this is here. And it's like, I don't want to try to figure out the show all the time. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, just give me a good, solid story, you know? And so I think what the show needs a little bit more of is, I think it needs a little bit, it needs more, what's the term I'm looking for? It needs a little bit more transparency of what's going on, which to be honest, I think we're going to get that I think Moon Knight is going to be good. I think we're going to get that a little bit more. I'm hoping, anyways.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that they had Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage in some respects, all 4 shows brilliant, you know. Well, you could say 3. All first 3 shows brilliant. And then it's like WandaVision and Hawkeye and we can find like so many problems with all these other shows. It's like, why didn't you just transfer the people who are working on Netflix projects to these projects here? Because they seem like they
Yeah.
know TV well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It does seem like that. The the other thing too is like even Punisher, right? Like the thing is those shows set up expectation at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
You know that there's something that's going to go down at the end of the season, and you're expecting it. And the same thing with Avatar, right? Avatar comes out like in the first, I would say well, maybe not the first episode, but in the first few episodes, you already know, hey, he's going to fight the Fire Lord. That will happen eventually. Like, it's going to build to that.
That's the big boss fight. Yeah.
And you don't have to know who the big boss is. You just need to have an expectation of something's going to go down. You know, like, what is the mission of the Punisher? The Punisher, in that first season, he's trying to find the man who is behind killing his family. That's the whole goal of the show.
Yeah, so you know, at some point, he's going to find this guy.
You don't know it's his best friend. Spoilers. You don't know that it's his best friend who was really behind it. You don't know that he was also working with the head of the dude who was in control of the group that he was with. You know, you don't know all of that. But so there's a lot of surprises still in the show, but you know that something's coming. And so that's the thing with these Disney Plus shows. You don't really have they don't give you a proper realm of expectation. You know, that's all these fan theories surround it, and they kind of ruin the show. The fan theories ruin the show because you have this expectation, like WandaVision. Everyone was like, oh, it's going to be like House of M. It's going to be all this crazy stuff, and they need to temper your expectations a little bit. You know what I mean? They need to be like, okay, this is where we're going. Allude to it. You know, the same thing with Hawkeye. You know, hey, Hawkeye kind of did it a little bit, but they didn't mention someone working behind the scenes until like the third episode. I kind of had this feeling like someone was working behind the scenes because I thought it was weird that her dad died. And so I was like, I feel like there's somebody, she's going to find out who killed him or something. And it was sort of like that, but it was more like she found out her dad was doing dirty stuff and then her mom was having to pay for it. So it was less it was kind of anticlimactic. Again, WandaVision had a great ending. Again, there was kind of a lot of stuff going on because you had Photon or whatever her name is. You had all that going on with her, and she was getting her powers, and that was kind of unnecessary. Like, just give me more Wanda and Vision. But the ending was good. The ending was great. And then the same thing with Loki. Like, the Loki had a good story as far as it just kind of focused on him, and it did have bigger repercussions for the MCU, but it focused on his story throughout. And so it's like, if you're gonna name the show Falcon and Winter Soldier, I would hope they would be the focus of the show and not like all these other a million storylines going on. So anyways, that's how I think they could fix the Disney Plus shows.
Have we seen any of those repercussions yet?
From Loki?
Yeah.
Not yet. So they're saying that maybe Doctor Strange, I've heard Doctor Strange may show that a little bit, because the question is, who started the multiverse, right? Did Loki start the multiverse? Did Spider-Man start the multiverse? Did Doctor Strange start the multiverse? You know, like, who started it? So did it all happen at the same time? That's another thing. People are saying maybe all these events happen at the same time. That's what's caused it. So we're not really sure yet, but you know, we'll figure it out. But anyways, that's how I think they could fix some of these Disney Plus shows, is like focus on telling a really good story. Set up an expectation at the beginning, so I have something to look forward to at the end. You know, at the end of the show. Again, WandaVision did that kind of a little bit, like at the end of the first episode where they show that something's off. The end of the second episode, they show that something's off. So you know there's something that's going on, but you know, it's not as clear as like, hey, this is the mission of the hero, and we're gonna try to figure out what that is. So, but anyways, what do you think?
I agree.
Do you have any? What's your ranking again?
Captain Falcon, the Winter Soldier, 1.
I like how you say Captain Falcon.
That's what he is. He's Captain Falcon.
It's Captain Falcon.
Black Falcon.
Black America.
WandaVision, Loki. Nope. Dang.
Where's
Okay,
Hawkeye
I'm
fit?
gonna go WandaVision, then Hawkeye, then Loki,
Mm-hmm.
and then What If.
And then What If?
Yeah.
Have your expectations been met for the shows or no? I've never. I know you kind of have low expectations usually for new stuff, like when it's first coming out. Like I feel like if you've seen the first season of a show, you usually have good expectations. But like if it's new, you're usually like, we'll just kind of see how it is. I'm not excited for it. So.
You know me so well. No, I, I, I didn't know what to expect with WandaVision,
Hmm.
but if I do think they did a huge disservice to the House of M. I'm really upset
Hmm.
that storyline is done and gone. Like it's,
I
man.
mean, I do you think it's done and gone? I feel like we might get some in Doctor Strange.
But like, is it going to be House of M, or are we just going
I,
to get more? Because she seemed like she. So the problem, the thing with House of M was her psyche was fractured, and that's
hmm.
what produced House of M.
Hmm.
But we've already had that story play out where her psyche got fractured from losing vision, and so that's what
Hmm.
created the little time warp bubble thingy that she created around the city.
Hmm. Well, but is she actually healed from that? Because remember at the end of the show, we saw her trying to save her kids still.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I would have
I.
liked to
Hmm.
see them create the mutants from her. That would have been
Hmm.
interesting because
Hmm.
in the comic, she's actually the death of the mutants. So it'd have been cool, a cool twist to make her the birth of the mutants because you already have the X Men coming anyway. Um,
Hmm.
so maybe it could still happen. Maybe it could still happen. But
Hmm.
I was disappointed that it didn't happen. But I did
Hmm.
still really like the show because it was entertaining with the different time periods of TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all the characters were pretty entertaining. Um, I thought Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier was going to be a little bit better than it was. I thought it had the chance to be the best because Anthony Mackie and what's the other guy's name?
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
They're two really, really good actors, and I thought
Hmm.
they played off each other very, very well. I didn't see anyone play
Yeah.
off each other as well as them two
Hmm.
in the Marvel MCU. So I was expecting it to be better, but I just didn't think they would be so busy, and I didn't think the villain would be so weak. I think that's probably where my
Yeah.
expectations were lost was definitely with the villain. I felt the villain was just
Yeah.
bad.
It almost felt
Um,
like that show didn't have one because you
yeah,
didn't really,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You kind of were
yeah.
like, you're like, wait, who's the villain? Oh, like social issues. Like I don't, you know what I mean?
The blip is the villain. Um, so really, it's Thanos. Thanos is always the villain. I was kidding.
That's right.
No. Uh. What if I had higher expectations for What If again because of the comics and
Yeah.
disappointed, just so disappointed. They took the safe route in most cases. The only episode they didn't was Doctor Strange, and I thought that was the best
Mhm.
one by far. I didn't
Yeah.
like Captain Peggy. I didn't like I didn't even like Wakandan Star Lord. I didn't like the Watcher episode was kind of cool, but he
Mhm.
got beat up, and I was so disappointed that he got
I'm
beat
really
up so
surprised you
easily.
didn't like the Marvel Zombies episode.
Not really. It just didn't
I
do
enjoyed that
anything for
episode.
me. I mean, like it was better than the other ones, sure, I'll give you that,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It didn't like. It wasn't like groundbreaking or anything like that. It was just like, okay, they're all zombies now. I thought the Vision part was pretty interesting, but it was just
Mhm.
like it just. I don't know. I was just like, oh, okay, they're zombies. That's cool. That's interesting. Let's see what they do with that.
They're apparently doing a show of that, by the way, that they've announced.
I don't know, man.
They're,
I've fallen off the zombie train. You know, I was pretty big into it when
I
Walking Dead
wasn't.
first came out, and then I also watched World War Z. But more
World War Z is a
recently,
good movie.
I'm less intrigued by zombies, and I'm also less
That's
intrigued
fair.
by vampires. I've had my vampire phase and my zombie phase. I'm kind of done with those things at this point in life.
I didn't entertain those when I was younger, so like now I'm kind of like,
Just
yeah,
getting into
you know,
it.
no, we got a vampire as Batman now, so it's good. Anyways, but yeah, yeah. So I mean, you kind of see what I see how you relate to me. Then it's
Yeah.
just so the shows haven't really met expect, and that doesn't necessarily mean give me everything I want. It just means you have this expectation of I feel like these shows are going to be really good and high quality storytelling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it's high quality as in the sense that they spend a lot of money on the show, but it's not high quality in the sense of like the storytelling's really, really good. Like, it's usually like there's some episodes in the show that are good, but like the show overall isn't that great. You know,
Yeah, that's probably what I'll say about Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier. The best story moments, the best moments of the show are when they're together.
Yeah.
That's the only. I mean, everything else besides that is kind of boring and kind of just like, ugh. I mean, well, I will say the rise of the fake Captain America, that was pretty interesting. But other than that, the only good scenes are when it's Sebastian and Anthony together. Those are like really the only scenes that are worth anything in the show.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been a lot more interesting, in my opinion, and I've kind of said this, but I'm thinking of it in a different way now. If they would have done Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, and they were kind of like the buddy cops.
Yeah.
And they were following a lead in this story that they had. You know, it doesn't have to be the social economic one that we got. It could have been like, you know, hey, there's just a group of people that they're trying to fight. That they're trying to that there's, you know, they're almost like detectives. It would have been like a detective style case, and then they would have been going up against the evil or the new Captain America and his buddy, and they would have been kind of like almost like a classic detective movie where it would have been like, dang, they beat us to the scene. Well, you know, this is what we're gonna do to, you know, kind of go around them, and then it would have culminated in them clashing. And it sort of did that, but it added all this extra stuff in there that you really didn't care about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, I think we're gonna call it good, guys. That was 2 hours.
Oh, did you want to tell them about the movie?
Oh, thank you. I almost forgot. Yeah. So guys, we're starting a movie club this week. Whoops, sorry. That was chat. We're starting a movie club this week. And you guys can be a part of it if you'd like. What we're basically gonna do is we're gonna watch a movie each week, and we're going to review it on the show. So we're just going to bring it up, and it won't even be like a long review unless it's a movie we loved. But we're going to start with watching the MCU all the way through. But we might take some breaks every once in a while. So we might, like, maybe, you know, if we want to watch, you know, Zack Snyder's Justice League, or we want to watch, you know, Batman, or we want to watch a different movie, you know, we'll probably talk about that, you know, another time. So, you know, anyways, we're wanting to do some movie club episodes. I just remembered, though, Jonathan, our next episode we're probably going to be talking about the Batman.
Yeah, we will be. We will definitely be talking about the Batman next episode.
Bro, that movie comes out in like just a few, like 4 days, man.
Dude,
I'm
actually really amped for that movie. I'm like, it feels like it's taking forever because I'm so amped for it.
Yeah, and I'm getting more excited the closer I get to it, and I've been hearing a lot of good things, I guess, from people who have already seen it. I don't know any spoilers or anything, but I've been hearing good things. That doesn't mean that it's a good movie. It could be an art house, like, disaster. You know,
Joker?
I liked Joker.
You like Joker?
Yeah, man. That was a great movie.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you liked it.
Yeah, I do like it. I like that movie a lot. I've watched it like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, wow.
I watched it with my sister. She loved it. She thought it was great. She's like, this movie's so good. I actually liked that movie a lot. Apparently they're making a sequel. It's rumored, but
I don't want a sequel.
It doesn't need a sequel, but you know, I'd watch it.
It won't have Batman in it, so I don't want it. Unless they tie the movies together.
What if they tie it with Robert Pattinson's?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they tie the movies together, then Joaquin Phoenix becomes the Joker in his universe.
I feel like we're doing a Key and Peele sketch from the guys. Robert Pattinson's? And
no,
Joaquin Phoenix's?
I don't think there's any way that they do that, because that would be creating a whole new universe.
A whole new universe! Oh, boom. No, I'm just kidding. Comment below if you've seen the Key and Peele sketch.
You know what we can do? Know who we can get?
What's that? Liam Neeson's.
I'm talking about Liam Neeson.
You know they did that for Batman Begins, right?
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Batmans? The Batmans.
He trained him. He taught him.
He gave Batman his powers. Talking about Ra's al Ghul, played by the incomparable Liam Neeson.
Even when we're talking about Batman, we're really talking about
Liam Neeson. Oh man, I want to watch that right now. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so freaking funny. Anyways, no, so we may should we hold off on the movie week then? Because
Yeah,
that's a lot of
Yeah.
movie talk, you know.
yeah. We can hold off. We can hold off.
Okay, we'll hold off one more week. So it won't be this week, guys, but it'll be the next week. And I think we're gonna start with Iron Man, and just we're starting with the MCU. But like we said, if we get bored or another
Everyone's
movie
gonna be
comes
like,
out,
why aren't you starting with the Incredible Hulk though?
because the Incredible Hulk came after by 2 months. I know this. Okay, I was alive. Yeah, it's Iron Man first.
Oh,
and
so wait a
then-
minute. So we're going by release dates. What you're saying? That's
Yeah,
how
man.
we're gonna watch the MCU. Okay.
Yeah, is that cool? I mean, we could go
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chronologically.
No, I don't want to watch Captain Marvel. Not right now. I
I kind of want to get it out of the way.
I was gonna say I gotta brace myself for it. You know, I gotta build up.
Oh man.
You know.
Man. Watch we watch it and we're like, hey, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was better than I thought.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, because it has
Oh,
old man who's supposed to be young man. Dang, what's his name?
Samuel
I don't know his
Jackson?
name. Yeah, Samuel Jackson.
Oh man.
He's supposed to be a young man, but he clearly is an old man. Clearly,
Yeah, he looks old. Yeah, he
really
looks
old in
man.
that movie.
So does Clark Gregg. The guy. He like they didn't do the best job with the CGI, in my opinion.
No.
Anyways, all right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here, but yes, be looking out for the movie club soon. We're gonna be watching just like a movie a week, and we also got a video game thing in the works that Jonathan wanted to do. We haven't nailed down how we're gonna do it yet, but we might play a different video game each month or something, and review it as well. We just kind of like talking about content and things that we've been playing. So,
Yeah.
and maybe when a new video game comes out, that we want to play, we might review that too, because we got some superhero video games coming out this year.
Yeah.
But
Don't
anyways.
forget, guys, this is our new time. Not this time, but like Saturdays. We're now on Saturdays.
midday Saturday,
Midday Saturday.
late morning. That's kind of what we're shooting for. So
We don't have
anyways.
cartoons anymore to look forward to, so look forward to us.
yeah, I know all the cartoons are trash now. So annoying.
Except Teen Titans Go.
Except Teen Titans Go. That's right. I
I'm
love
being
Teen Titans.
sarcastic.
It's the last mindless cartoon out there. Okay, I love it. Anyways. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time on Just Visiting. Jonathan, you got anything else to say before we go?
No, sir.
You never do. All right.
I think your wife was about to say something.
No, she's clearing her throat in the background.
Oh, she's about to start. She's about to start rapping.
He called you out. Sorry.
Gonna lose yourself in the
You know what?
music, the moment.
You know a video I saw recently that just made me laugh? Remember that old video of LeBron rapping where he's like, and he's like,
he's like,
and he just like starts rapping really hard and everything. I saw the video of that where the dude like did side by side and he like recreated it. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, oh, LeBron's such a joke. Anyways. That's a great place to end it on, guys. So, anyways, we'll see you guys next week on Just Visiting. Bye-bye.